The angel that says fuck, yeah.
Which
Or the
is a
angel
no-no.
that says fuck.
God's
Nice.
like, you're the angel, aren't you? The one that
Yes.
says the F word.
The
Tribute to
word
the
that I
Misfits
won't
all?
say.
No?
There's a whole philosophy with that.
I was gonna say, is it the Marilyn Monroe flick and like Misfits and everything?
And then just make sure you're talking directly.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'd like to know.
Angel Flick.
Okay, awesome.
It's
No.
a
Little
it's a
Angel
great movie.
Flick.
Yeah, but it's actually a good
No,
movie.
no.
That's a good movie too. Marilyn Monroe's last one.
We'll get this going.
Good to
I'm
know.
just gonna nod my head, pretend like I know everything you guys just said.
Danzig.
Danzig. He's a weenie.
He's purple.
Kitty, exactly.
We're live.
All right.
It's the Booze and Dudes podcast with Uday Uklea.
Hey, baby.
We got Dick Sassy.
Yeah.
We got some guy.
Hey.
Your host, Big Bucks. And we got special guest Megan and Katie from the Angel That Says Fuck YouTube channel. We're gonna get some readings here.
Very shortly.
Very
Drop
shortly.
some knowledge.
We can get some horses?
We're gonna get some,
Horse-
yeah,
horse
we're gonna get
readings.
some horses and they're gonna get fed.
Ew.
Hot
All
dog.
right.
Horse readings.
Okay, Booze and Dudes podcast, and we kind of went over this a little bit last time with the Zodiac podcast,
Yeah.
and we found out that basically the Zodiac is kind of
Spot on.
and we didn't really believe it at first, and it was pretty spot on from what we mentioned, because we were supposed to have you guys on last week, but I guess something happened, so we did the Zodiac podcast, and it made us a believer at the Zodiac. So,
We have this philosophy where it seems like the tables are flying off the paper and you can't stack them just right and they just keep flying off. It's time to
Tables are flying off
recollect.
the paper.
Did I say it backwards?
Yeah,
Good job.
you
Okay,
sure
it's
did.
like right off to a great start. That would be my my Mercury in retrograde.
We were, last week, it's the podcast kind of started with like, yeah, I bet it's all bullshit. And then we read the Zodiacs and it's like, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
He's lying. He's a liar.
he's so full of shit.
You see his cards. He's a liar.
Yeah,
The
trickster,
liar.
Joker
Trickster.
card.
It's just liar.
Just his liar,
liar.
liar.
Pointing at me.
No explanation.
Just this fucking liar has his face on the card.
Liar.
And like a noble suit.
Armor.
Armor.
Hey, I'd be careful what you say.
Oh.
We're gonna find an Uday card.
You can find one that's limited edition. It's a holographic card.
Careful what you wish
You asked
for.
us here to read you, and that could mean for Phil.
Oh.
See, I
Be
just now,
careful.
with what she said, I kind of feel like it's that scene in Thinner where the guy just, Thinner. She's gonna curse me, I swear.
Yeah, I need
We
some
don't
of
do
that. I need
that.
some of that curse for at least a
No,
couple months.
that's bad.
If anything, Uday, you'll curse
He needs a
yourself.
thinner curse
I
first.
will.
Yeah, let me get that partial thinner curse.
That temporary.
Let me get that temporary thinner
What if I don't
curse.
kill the lady with my cards?
You know, when I start getting the nice
Strike
cheekbones, then I'll.
Then we just stop right here? Good.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
could model right
All right, so let's see. So how did you girls get into this?
Well, let's start.
Well, explain what you do. Explain what you do first.
now. First of all, I help people find their inner child more often than not, and the means of which I do that are sometimes relying on tarot. It's more often when I need clarification that I'll run to that, or I'll pull my daily cards. But when it comes to the way I operate and what I do, tarot and astrology are my tools and blueprints by which I can look at people deeper and figure out maybe their influences or backstories or energies that's going on influencing them currently and from the past, and maybe help glue them back together because they've disassociated or become unfamiliar with themselves at a certain point in their lives through trauma or whatever. So
It's a very
people
good overview.
come to me more often than not just to talk and it developed into the fact that like anybody I met was just throwing their guts at me. So I decided I would actually hone in on that and see where it took me, and it's starting to go somewhere.
Okay.
No, it's not bad. It's actually seeming to be my purpose.
Calling, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you two related?
My dad says we are.
You know, we get that question a lot. We really do. And people ask us if we're sisters and
No.
we're roommates. I always wished for like a best friend that lived next door, and then she ended up moving in right across the street, and then we became best friends, and then I moved in. So
Next question: are you guys witches?
yeah. But back to how we got into this.
How long ago was that when you guys met?
A year, about a year and a half, maybe.
Oh,
A year and a half
okay.
ago, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I moved down from Seattle after I got divorced,
Oh,
Okay.
and then moved in with my father, and she lived next door, literally across the street.
and instantaneous. You saw it.
Well, like actually, I avoided all contact because I'm a natural introvert. It's sort of she cajoled me into talking to her, and then I was like, "Yo, I think I need to
So
teach you
how
how to
did
do
you
cards."
two like meet? Did you guys see like?
We smoke weed
candles
together.
and one-
No,
we
no, we
smoked
smoke
a
weed
bowl
together.
together.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty easy. That's
It's
pretty cool.
easy as hell. Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
actual trade job that I've been doing for my this whole time was I'm a cannabis trimmer.
You know, and I was going through an experience at the time, you know.
She came to me.
And, you know, I was one of those people that started pretty much spilling out my guts, you know, and she started confirming a lot of things like I was saying, and, you know, she started like, you're not crazy, like, this shit's real.
And then it developed into helping. I gave her my examples of daily practice for calming my own senses, what I was experiencing, how not to blurt out your intuitions because you might upset somebody because they're not ready.
Right.
You know, like don't you have to write a lot of things down, use your dreams, you know, this little things, and then she wound up moving in, and we sort of drill every single day.
We have a routine.
Like immersion sort of school almost every day.
Right. Okay. So Megan, did you always like hone into this too, like your whole life, or was it?
I've always had experiences, and my first major experience was when I was 10, and it had to do with my mom and my dad, and they got into an altercation outside of my elementary school, and I just had this feeling of like, something's happening to my mom right now. I just know it. And I told my best friend, and she laughed at me. And that was my very first experience. But when I first met her, I was actually going through, my roommate at the time, her mother would come around every now and then. And the first time I met her, I told my best friend at the time, which was my other roommate, we were much closer then, and I said, your mom's carrying a secret. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah, you know, I don't know what it is right now, like, but she's carrying a secret. Next time she came around, I was able to pick up she was carrying a secret of manipulation. Every single time she was coming around, I was picking up something different. And so then that's when I met her at the same time. And I'm like, dude, I'm going through this shit right now. Like, am I crazy? Like,
No.
Because what would you call it? Because that's way past intuition. It's way specific.
Legit psychic.
It is a form of I have clairsentience. It's one of the six senses. It is clear knowing. I just know.
Like it's not a thought. It's more of like a visual.
No, a visual would be that would be
Clear cognizance, or wait, I have this on a
Yeah,
map.
'cause I'm more like, a thought
there's
can be
6
clear.
different ones
Yeah,
though. There's clear knowing.
There's
There's feeling. There's seeing. So I'm just like I'm clairsentience. I'm clear knowing. I just know something, and
So if I may, it's kind of like you get this thought in your head,
it
but
just
you
boom.
you
It's
know.
implanted in my head, and I
Okay.
just know.
and then the visuals. She starts to explain visuals.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
visuals will come. But so
Okay.
each time her mom came around, I was just like, you know, like I pick up on something, and I picked up the like I picked up manipulation, and then one day I was like, your dad's not your dad.
Jeez.
And that's some deep shit. That's some stuff you just don't
Just,
see.
here, let me take care of that wound. Let me pour some alcohol.
You know,
Remember you got told that? I do. He knew his dad. He didn't want to. He wanted it to be somebody else.
I just imagine she's like, all right, hey, I got the rent for tomorrow. I'm gonna go to bed. By the way, your dad's not your dad. Later.
You know,
Not
it
so
kind of
important.
didn't happen like that. It
Yes.
honestly
He
kind of-
runs on the counter. Dad's
Yes,
not your
I'm
dad.
sorry.
You're right.
But no, like, and she started then to talk to me a little bit more, and she was like, you know, like, I've always known my dad all my life. You know, he married my mom when she was like 4, but then I always felt like I looked different, and I was just like, he's not your dad. I just know it. I just know he's not your dad. And so she stewed on it for a while, and she approached her mom about it, which scared the shit out of me because it's like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Jeez.
She asked her mom about it,
Jeez,
and she is 28. She turned 28 this year. Christina, that was my friend. And she asked her mom, this happened last year, and her mom was like, you know what, I do need to come clean to you about something. And she was like, gave the name of the guy, and Christina came back to me and was like, oh my God, you were right. This is the name of the guy. And I said, give me 10 minutes and I'll have him. I'll find him.
That's kind of cool. She was old enough to kind of grasp it. If she was like
She
19
said
or
she's
something,
had
I
a
could've
feeling
been
her
like,
whole life, you know, and that's what I'm here to do is, and that's a lot of times what the cards do at the same time is they bring clarification. And so within 10 minutes, I said, you know what, with the information she gave, I said, I found a Facebook profile, and sure enough, she wrote the dude, and within a few hours, got a message back, and I was like, yep, I'm your dad.
Are you my dad?
There was like no signs before that like she was like small, brown hair, brown eyes, and he was like a big, gigantic
African American man.
Yeah, big old black. Like it would have been funny before, you know, before you told her the truth.
Her parents, her
He's
parents always blamed
I'm your
it.
dad. I'm
Oh, by
serious.
the way.
Yeah, her
Horrible.
parents always blamed it on, oh, you were premature. She has a
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew there was
she
a
does
line
have
involved.
a
We
few
have a
health
guest that's premature. His
issues.
name's Mitch.
So, you know, and she looks somewhat like her sister that's a little bit younger than her, but then her youngest sister and the middle sister look too much alike, and so yeah, she started getting these just, and she just started explaining it to me, and I was just like, okay, then it was validating my feelings.
Yeah, because you already had that initial before she even talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Like I just met this woman, I'm like, she's carrying a secret.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like I thought I was going like, what's going on?
It's funny. It was really funny to watch. It was so different from how I've experienced my like little woes in life. Like, oh shit, did that just happen? It's mine are more like I'll have a dream and I'll tell somebody, and it'll be like too much insight, or like something that'll happen later. A lot of my stuff happens in my dreams. Or it's like I'm able to sense something in somebody's subconscious and bring it to light.
Without them having to say anything, yeah.
Or you know, just listening to what they're saying, but actually finding the actual like root of an issue, and
Like what it's based behind and
yeah,
stuff.
like
Yes.
you know, like gluing it back together for them so they're more aware of it. It's just slightly different. It's more of an emotional thing. I am a feeler in that
Awareness
way,
is key to
like,
healing.
and a perceiver of like connections.
Sure, you call yourself a feeler, and it's okay. I call myself a feeler. Suddenly, I'm not allowed to be back at Home Depot.
It's just because you have a dick.
Yeah, really? There's a few other guys out there that do that. They're acceptable.
Yeah, Joe's got to stay away 500 feet from the
500
school.
miles.
500 miles from the school.
You can't go
500 miles.
Do you know how hard it is to get a table for one at Chuck E. Cheese looking like this?
You couldn't even get in on Chuck E. Cheese's birthday. You gotta wait till all of us walked in with
He
you.
needs three forms of ID to get to Chuck E. Cheese.
Joe has to dress like a clown to get in.
So tell us of a time that, I mean, your strongest reading, like where you were so right on that they're like, oh my goodness, you're right about everything. This is the craziest thing. How did it come about, and how did I meet you? And, you know, just 100% accurate about everything, and they got super emotional. I mean, obviously that's a good story, talking about
the whole dad thing.
the
was
dad thing is crazy.
Yeah, I think that was.
I thought it was a little funny when I did my reading for you and I brought up Red Foreman, and you're like,
What's up with you and Red Foreman, bro?
Oh,
I was
she needs
telling you.
Cincinnati Red.
Well, I didn't say that part.
Uday got a reading from them. So tell us about the reading.
So I met her at her work, and we just started chilling in the corner, and
it's a wine bar, so we specify
so
that.
cool.
Let's
corner.
I had no idea that sounded
Corner
bad. I was
of
just like,
what?
My name's Zodiac. It's not weird anymore. Come on, let's go to
we
this
went
corner.
to her work and sat in the corner.
He just walks up to you with his face
Lurking.
open, like, look, I exist. It's cool.
Uptown wine.
Don't worry, I watched the
It's a
whole
wine
thing.
bar. It's a little more normal.
yeah.
Breathing hard.
Want to hang out in this corner?
How long have you been there? 30 minutes.
So one of the questions I asked is, you guys know about Red, and I told him that
Angry man.
Angry Man. Red and he was my mentor, but he died, and we before I could get a chance, we ended on bad terms. And then I didn't tell her his name was Red, but out of nowhere she goes like, why do I get the feeling he's Red Foreman? And I'm like, that's kind of exactly who that motherfucker was.
Yeah, I was like, Red Foreman's popping in my head, like the whole I'm gonna stick my foot up your ass kind of attitude. He goes, I didn't tell you his name was Red.
Jeez.
And I was like, well, there you go.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that bit. But yeah, no, yeah, also his nickname
most
was
important
Red.
part.
That's how we all knew him.
Yeah, the most accurate
And
part.
he was a real asshole. I loved him in a certain way, but he knew he was an asshole.
He was a dad.
Yeah.
To you. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he was.
pretty
He was a
awesome.
mentor. He was a mentor to me
Mm-hmm.
because he taught me a lot about wrestling. And when he left EWF, he taught me more about how to be an independent person.
Yeah, he was one-on-one with you. I remember you talking about him.
Cincinnati Red is more like the guy who's like, Mom, the
Yeah.
meatloaf.
No, he's more of the comic book guy from
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
Yeah, I would go there.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
That's
nice.
angry.
That's kind of cool.
He did.
And I can't see that guy being angry, though.
Yeah.
He was. I remember one time, I just for shits and giggles, I was driving home from a show, and he did this thing where he would stare at the driver, which was me. Then I'd turn, and he'd look back straight ahead. And as soon as I turned back straight ahead of the road, he'd turn back.
That's great.
And then finally, just one day,
That's adorable,
yeah,
actually.
it was hilarious. But then one day, I just didn't look at him for like 5 minutes, and he just goes, "Don't ignore me, motherfucker."
That's
Fun.
great.
Cute.
I was
How old is this guy?
He was, I want to say, 45 when he passed.
We have this theory he
Damn,
was an
that's
Aries,
horrible.
was he?
Picturing him being
I'm not
60.
sure.
Oh my god, you don't know his birthday?
No.
I
He-
love him.
it's
but
not
I
like-
never hung out
It's
with
not
him.
like I went over to his house with a cupcake saying "Happy Birthday."
His
Yeah.
ghost is like
Dang.
Patrick Swayze right now. It's like hanging around us.
He sounds like
so
the kind of
bored
dude that
on
would
this.
actually slug you if you tried.
When-
He
when-
would. He and I almost got in so many fights over bullshit.
Yeah, when Uday means mentor, he doesn't mean.
This is the guy right here.
No, he
There
means
you go.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So he was
Cincinnati Red.
your catalyst.
That's so
When I
funny.
started wrestling, he was the one guy that actually would like give me advice and talk to me. And whenever in wrestling, if you make a mistake, there's two types of people. There's gonna be the person that tells you the mistake you made and how you can fix it, or there's a person that's gonna not do shit. And there's a lot of guys that just won't do shit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Red would come to me and say, "Hey, motherfucker, do you realize how dumb that was?"
Right. No.
What a nice guy.
Hey, no,
That's the type of shit that Joe.
I-
uses.
Certainly a sweetheart.
He was
Yeah,
a,
but
he
you
was
know
a
Joe.
prick.
Dude, Joe takes pressure like really well.
Yeah, he was a
Like,
prick, but he was
look at
also
you
a good
guys.
guy, and he helped me out.
You guys treat him horribly.
He was
on
good.
that.
I won't lie.
Yeah, he was.
It says Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
That's
Yeah,
what-
well,
that's
Cincinnati
the
was
way
taken.
fire loves.
That's up top.
You hear that,
Oh,
Red?
the
You were
ass.
kissed by
Yeah.
fire.
Was that him when he wrestled?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was him, like in his
So you see that Red could do it.
Yeah. He was called the Hardcore
That's
Machine.
Jacob the Snake.
Caveman.
Jacob the Snake.
Just Google
See,
his
See,
birthday.
oh yeah, look, yeah, get it, yeah,
Oh,
go
yeah, his
to
birthday. Check.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Does
get
he
Oh
have
shit,
a
he's a
Wiki?
big deal. He's on Wiki.
This is what we do all day. We
He's not.
Google people's
Okay,
birthdays.
that's not that is. Oh yeah, he does have a wiki right there on the top
He
right.
does have a wiki. All right,
Oh,
let's see.
so he was a Sagittarius.
On October
No, wait.
17th.
No, he was
He's
still a Libra. Oh, so he was the exact opposite of an Aries. So he had Aries vibes, but he was like good at
That explains his hair.
there's either open enemies or open love. So he was like a little bit of both.
Yeah, there would be times where he would talk to me.
Yeah,
and
Joe let him touch him.
he was
He was
He
an
was-
open hand.
he was not like an emotional person, so we would hang out. It would be very, just kind of, hey, did you see that new Iron Man movie? Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Check out the porn I got. I'm gonna say this. He had this weird porn collection, and I was just kind of
Wait, define weird.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
Not weird for like.
It's
Not
one
weird
of,
for
it's
like.
one of those
hold on.
podcasts
Think
again.
about this though. Real quick. No, real quick.
It is not.
Uday has his own porn collection of his own,
Oh,
like
God.
starring his own. So for him to call somebody else's collection weird, that's
That's
pretty
why
fucked up.
Yeah. Just like.
I'm the very
He just
son.
he had
That's
porn
why I
playing in the
use for your
background,
information. Not
and I never
TMI.
understood why. He wasn't watching it.
To your
He
Because
was.
he didn't give a fuck.
to your
Yes. I just thought it was. I thought
You're so
it'd
dumb,
be
Chuck.
awkward to hang out in my friend's room.
No, it was the vibrations of what happens when there's or the vibrations of sex is actually very the sexual like energy is very creative in its way, and it's just he was indulging in that vibe, if that makes sense. Like it's something that is very
his own
energetic, and he used it in a way that some people use hard music. He used
It's a good way to look at
to
it.
get it on. Like,
Yeah.
that's how he got
It
motivated.
gets him
I'm
pumped.
not trying to like besmirch the dead, but like so we'd hang out.
How is that bad?
No, it's just
Somebody
a,
having
it's
sex,
just a
that's
tip.
awesome.
Like
Yeah.
it's just a life thing.
Joe, that's what we're gonna say about you when you're dead. You have sex a lot.
For those who love
Megan will
Joe,
read your text at
here's a
your
list of his
funeral.
porn.
Oh, nice.
Hey! Let me pull
figured
some
it
up
out
right
now.
now.
My headstone's gonna put up. It rubs the lotion on the skin, or else
Joe.
it gets the hose again.
Listen, remember? You're getting the folder stuff.
That's not
Big
bad.
Lebowski. Big Lebowski, bro.
You're gonna need invisible ink. It's
Best
gonna be-
part of
be
waking
black
up.
All his secrets.
Best part of waking up. Cremation in your
Oh, there you go, Joe. See? Turn it into a compliment.
That's right.
Bro.
I have no
That's
idea
part of
what you
waking
said.
up.
That's part of waking
Best
up.
part of
Folgers.
waking up is cremation in your cup.
Yeah, as in you, bro.
Oh,
You were the
wait.
best wake up for so many. Good job, Joe.
Hey, if you were cremated, Joe, where do you want to be? Where do you want your ashes to be thrown if you were cremated?
You
A
wanna be
body of
burned.
water.
You want to be burned.
Yeah, did you listen to the podcast?
I know,
Jeez,
God, man.
The Ganges.
I'm learning how to shoot an arrow already. That's why.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a car wash.
That's
for
it's
I know-
it's a
I know-
big-
I
it's
know
a-
they do that there, but I don't
Good
want to. You
conversation.
ain't take my body all that fucking India. Come on.
It's a little out of the way.
Just go to Malibu or some shit.
That'd be the only way he gets there. Take him.
I know, right?
He ain't going there on his own.
You'll find a spot of your life that you're very connected to.
Dear India, have him. He's yours.
He
You
never
become a weird
set
guy.
foot here in his life, but here
Yeah.
he is in his afterlife.
I'm just walking around India as a ghost. Just fuck. Everybody stinks.
We
They're
flushed
poor.
Joe's ashes.
The
on
food's
planet.
terrible.
Yeah.
So Joe's ashes go to Catalina Island.
It's cold.
I actually love Indian food though.
Oh, Indian food's awesome.
Joking.
There's
I-
three-eyed fish in Catalina.
It's not too straight. It's not beautiful.
It's right by that nuclear power plant.
You seen that?
Blinky, we call them.
I thought Catalina was beautiful. It's filled with-
Why are you crying? Oh my head.
He's got the giggle shits.
That's good though.
Yeah.
He needs that.
He's got them giggle shits. Okay, so gents, what are you expecting out of this reading? I mean,
Please don't
you know,
have
do you have
expectations.
questions? I mean, what are you expecting
Just
out
have
of this?
fun.
That's how I was, yeah. But they were saying, like, I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah.
I'm just willing to listen and hear that.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully you keep an open mind.
Yeah,
My
that's the best
expectations are the
thing.
worst.
I've got a few tricks.
Where's you keeping the weed from us?
We will pretend. I'm taking the blessings. But
All right.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna go commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna get our readings.
Yeah.
Okay, gents?
Yay.
All right, more booze and the dudes when we come back.
Booze and booze.
Somebody's drinking.
Just so much booze.
Brr,
So
brr,
much booze here.
I'm just getting old.
Dude, I've listened to the last four, and you call them on it every time. You're like, are you drunk?
Yeah,
You're like, he's all right.
I'm sorry, not Mr. Perfect!
I've been drinking all day.
Sorry, Mr. Perfect.
I'm pretty sweet, Buzz.
No, look at the dog skin. She's so cute. Scout, I love her. I love her skin.
Are we having fun
She's
yet?
got an injured paw.
Oh, yeah.
See her injured paw?
Oh yeah.
Give me that red one right down, I will.
It's 5 each.
Oh, Joe doesn't watch that.
They're 5. What are the other ones exactly?
No,
No, but like the flavor.
The flavor, I don't know.
What's the
What are you
flavor?
with it? I don't know.
Find out, though. I don't want to ruin the movie.
Yeah, jeez.
Alright, gosh.
What are these?
Edibles.
Gummies.
Oh, okay.
Like CBD.
They're just 5. If you have like
Nah,
one, you want to do.
they're not.
5
For
milligrams?
CBD and THC.
Okay, good. Hey, we like knowing what we're getting into.
Yeah. Well, that's all.
It just helps me put an idea to what I'm eating.
From like
I was joking, like, on the way here, like, bro, like, we should ask them where the acid's at, just to see what they're paying. He's like, no, don't do that.
I would have did the same thing.
The
I
cards
told
are
Joe,
coming
I'd be
out
like, why are you
Yo!
telling me now? Like, hours ago would have helped.
Right?
I was like, when they wanted
We
the
would have been
Joshua
talking
tree.
forever, though.
They did a Will is Death, and I'm all like, oh, I thought we were supposed to get shrooms, and I already had them, and they never came by. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, at least we know you guys know how to get them, so call us.
Yeah, there's people.
I want to do shrooms in Joshua Tree.
No.
You should. It's
Used to
great.
I
work
want to do
in
it.
Route
Yeah.
29.
What is it called? What kind of plant that's pure DMT?
Oh,
DMT.
Ayahuasca.
Please,
Ayahuasca?
I want
Ayahuasca.
to try
I want to do
DMT.
ayahuasca on the.
Well,
well,
That's
ayahuasca itself,
Yeah.
unadulterated,
Yeah, it
makes you
doesn't do
puke
it.
all
Yes,
night,
yeah.
and like, but evacuate.
I know it's
It's
one I want
the
to
most
do it.
intense version, but if you
Mhm.
smoke
Days would be
DMT,
way
it's a
too long.
little bit more gentle.
You
But
do need to have the whole
it's the whole
situation.
ceremony. You need a
I
guide.
hate the taste of
Yeah,
it.
you can't be by yourself, and
You,
need
you
somebody
do
that's
need
sober.
yeah.
I'm saying I'm not gonna do it. I'll have like Joe do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah. there's no
Can you
point.
can you hook that
Joe's
up?
just
His
recording.
card says-
Chuck's just recording. Look at him on
I
the
wish
screen.
I knew how to. When I
Joe,
find it,
it's
I will
not
let
little,
you know.
man.
It's something I want to do as well.
What,
Yes,
DMT
I do
or
want to do it
ayahuasca?
as well.
It's something
but-
I'm interested in.
Which
Yeah.
one? Which one are we talking about?
I heard it was
DMT or
No,
ayahuasca?
but-
DMT is easier to get.
I would
Ayahuasca's
like to
not.
find DMT,
Yeah, DMT
because I
they
know
have
it's
it on-
easier.
Like UCR, you can get that all day.
But I haven't.
But yeah, ayahuasca, I
Yeah.
don't know anybody that.
I've done
To
acid.
do the full,
mushrooms,
I
whatever,
like.
but-
Look, Joe, you're not ready for it, man. You would have to be ready to be in touch with
This is
yourself.
boom.
Oh, nice.
Hit it, man. Hit it. Oh shit. Yeah, a little electronic from the new
Is there
age.
a button or no?
Nope, just hit it. That's why I'm like looking. I'm like, do I roll something?
Oh man. Let's go digital weed. That's who's in the dudes.
How many I get
It's all digital. No, it's all from Legit Place. It's like the weed capital of California right now.
Did I tell you
Yes,
those
Canadian
good?
City.
Like the best place that fucking we used to have that was down the street from us. They moved over there.
Mhm.
Very sorry.
Is there vape?
San Bernardino will
What
give
am I
us a
looking at? Is there a
license.
button? No.
Yeah,
It's
San Marino's
not.
Folksville.
He said you paid like $3,000. You got a license over an hour.
Okay, so we're in tune now. We're in
Oh yeah, yeah.
powered up. Told you. Told you.
Turn me on, turn me loose.
Hey, do you want
I got that open mind thing happening. That's what's up.
Do we need to like ask a question, or are you just gonna give us a reading?
You got another song?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's
we're
a good
gonna do
idea.
two different
Let's
things.
do it.
We're gonna break down your
It doesn't
guys'
make it
natal charts, and then we're also gonna do
Chuck,
a one
Santana.
card reading.
They're separate
Yeah.
things. We're gonna do like
We're doing the little
personality blueprints. Shit.
They tie together.
Really good magic stuff.
Just throw that in real quick, because at least you know
Okay,
right
everyone
off the bat
good?
the second
Everyone
you're talking.
good?
Magic Man
And then
by
since we all-
heart.
since we all agreed on it, we should end with fucking Mr. Rogers.
I've got the magic in me by Bob.
With Mr. Rogers, like once you found out that, keep that. We'll end with Mr. Rogers.
Mr.
Oh,
Ro-
wait, what's the
I
other one?
love
Is that,
Mr.
that
Rogers.
Boston?
Have you seen that documentary?
Yeah, I was gonna say stupid question, but you saw the documentary, right?
Which
Okay,
doc?
we're
Yeah.
good. Now,
The
Yeah.
the
The
Mr.
last
Rogers
one?
documentary.
Yeah, like last
mic
year.
check
Yeah.
1 2 2
No, no,
2.
no.
I did
Isn't
see
it-
it.
All right.
We're good.
Got me in the fucking feels.
It was the best.
Joe's feeling.
We're
Yeah, that
back.
was so beautiful.
We're back. Booze and Dudes. So we are here with our special guests, Megan and Katie.
Hello.
And we're
What's
about to do
up?
some readings here. Because I'm the magic man. Now you see me? Now you got it. All right.
I was just giggling right now because I'm watching both of them just come, both Loki just.
Okay. Yeah. So how does this work? How does this work? How does these readings work? Do we ask questions or?
We're gonna break it down
Okay.
into two separate parts,
Mhm.
but they both kind of tie in together at the end. There is something called a natal chart, and that is why we asked you guys for your date of birth,
What it is.
time, location. All those are super important, and even the time, having the specific time is one of the most important pieces, because if we don't have your specific birth time, we can't tell you where your rising sign is or about your houses. It is where all the planets were placed at the exact moment
Yeah.
you were born. That
Oh.
is a natal chart.
I feel like we'd have superpowers at this point. Like,
It's funny you should say that.
oh,
Let's
okay.
keep going.
All right,
Yeah.
okay,
You're gonna find
Okay.
out.
So we're gonna start with Joe.
Oh.
New day.
All right, so cards first, then.
No, we're doing natal chart first. We're gonna
Dope.
I'm gonna do a little bit of a rundown of what each planet means because each planet in your natal chart is what influences your energies. So, starting with the sun, that is a small portion of who you are. Your moon sign is emotions and relations. Mercury is how we communicate and our mental processes. Venus is love, attraction, affection, and what we want in a lover.
Also will.
Yes. Mars is our anger, aggression, and energy, and
Sex.
Yeah, exactly. Jupiter, it rules travel, business, and spirituality. Saturn.
Also sex.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of specific planets.
Saturn rules restrictions, perseverance, and discipline.
I'm so glad I'm going first.
Uranus is the ruler of rebelliousness and occult knowledge. We got Neptune, which is illusions, fantasies, and mysticism.
And drugs. and jail.
Jail, yes, you're absolutely right. Pluto is all about secrets and mystery. Your rising
and sex.
Yes.
So,
And money.
I feel like that's your catchphrase, and sex.
I'm sorry.
Well,
She told
so
me yesterday I need to start really focusing on sex astrology. And
She's
the
really
whiskey,
good on-
Yeah, but-
whiskey is truth telling.
Honing
So
in
if I
on
see
that.
something, I'm gonna say it.
Get it, yeah. I want to know more.
I'm not gonna hold back. That's not my brand.
Mm-hmm.
You're
You can be blunt with us. We're ridiculous. Don't be sure.
You good on your drinks? All
I brought a nice shot that I'm nursing.
right. Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
That makes
Now
sure
we
it's
have
all
your
taken care
guys'
of.
your guys' rising sign. That is a super important part of your guys' natal chart. This is how the world outwardly views you. It's your appearance. And then we got your north node is how you develop in your current life. And then we got your south node is how you developed in your past life.
And what we did was a very small little snippet of your sun, moon, Venus, Mars,
Rising.
and rising, north node, south node, and we put it in a little tiny
Like a
shot.
Yeah,
Something that's
exactly.
bullet points. That's
Sweet. Yeah.
So this would be referred to as basically a natal chart reading. And then in a little bit we'll do a tarot card reading where you guys
an
can
actual natal chart reading would take days to actually get one person down correctly and describing each interaction from planet to planet and all the geometry that's involved and
A lot of math.
interaction, and especially if you wanted to know what would happen this certain day, if it's important to you, we would break that down as well. That's a whole other bag. Or how you interact with another person if you want a reading on
But
that kind of
having
thing.
the natal things are going to help with the read, literate cards.
Absolutely always feeds in, but we don't know what those cards are yet. Just
Yeah.
saying,
Oh,
it
no,
hasn't
yeah.
been shuffled, so we'll find out how they fit in. But
But
you know,
help.
it's going to be
gonna help,
exciting. That's the fun
we'll
part.
do a little bit more explaining on how tarot works and how it ties in.
Okay, I have a quick question about the tarot cards themselves.
Of course.
In a certain way, is that like saying this is like destiny giving us a glimpse of the future? Would that be a very blunt way of putting it?
Not always, because it can be a sheer reflection of the energies that are happening. That can be nobody is subject to fate completely. There's always free will, and there's always going to be a variable of choice involved. And if you see something in a card and you get a warning or some sort of advice, then you can do something about it. So,
but it's up to you
but
to
you have to.
figure out.
It's a way to get your. If you're asking for a sign, it's like here's your sign.
That's what I was trying to explain to the son earlier, actually.
It's
like
intuitive,
because I've done this before, and I'm like, yeah, it's not specific to something. I'm like, it's like, well, there's a bunch of options. This is kind of pointing out one.
You can see the same card over and over again, but it depends on the day or the situation, the energy.
Yeah.
It's all interpretive and how it makes you feel, or if it brings up anything like otherwise. It helps you.
2.
It's rarely ever literally about the card itself. It's always usually about the things that you sense from it, or the things. And sometimes I'll actually feel like I hear a voice saying, like a hint, you need to say this. You need to say this, and I'm like no.
About a nickel per
Oh
time
my
I heard
God,
that.
that's so inappropriate. I can't say that. but you have
Yeah,
to.
but still, it's compelling,
That's part of the thing you have to do is get uncomfortable sometimes when you volunteer to be a voice for like somebody else that's trying to figure themselves out.
I was just immediately just thinking of Terminator 2, where you're like, "There's no fate but what we make for ourselves." I was like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
I suppose.
That's what Joe got
Yes.
on
Exactly.
I wasn't trying to quote it because I actually haven't seen it. I've only seen
Ew.
bits.
Oh wow.
Watch
Not all
two.
the way through.
Good.
It's
I
I
say
did.
watch 3.
It's alright.
Okay, 2. Yeah. All right, let's get on.
You're
Okay.
Joe
Yeah,
got
let's
missing
get
it.
into
I
it.
love that Joe got more conversation
Yeah.
about that than anything else.
You're just missing the
All right,
Austrian accent
so-
and a bunch of muscles.
This is what I saw, felt, whatever when I was looking at Udi's chart.
Okay.
You're in my light, bro. I can't read.
I can't
Joe,
read. You're in
great.
my life.
You have Pisces, Sun, Mars, and Rising. So, and it's in the 12th house, which means it's like home house. 12th house is the house of Pisces. So it is all concentrated, bro. Like, so basically you have superpowered self-consciousness, and that's where the superpower word
Yeah,
comes
we do
in.
that, though. We all
You
do
are hyper self-conscious more than anybody. And why is that?
What, are you asking me a question?
No,
or-
it's like a rhetorical.
Okay, good.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay, yeah.
It's the
Don't
fact
think about
that
it.
you are able to feel everybody's emotions, and you can't necessarily differentiate if they're yours or not. You're soaking them up, and it's like you feel projection personally. So let's see. What do you? We have okay. So I wrote down. You need a Professor X hat.
You mean Cerebro?
Yeah. Well, I guess
Whatever,
maybe.
nerd.
The one,
I
not the
bet
one
you
that's
think she's Magneto.
maybe I was thinking Magneto.
The one that has
Yeah,
the
that's
frame.
like-
The one that blocks.
That's a good idea.
The one that
Yeah,
blocks?
Magneto. You're
That's
good.
Magneto,
You're good.
yeah.
You're the right series. It's an X-Men thing. You're golden. Good
Not,
enough.
I'm like, eh. But then again, but the reason there was a whole reason for that is because Stanley was a Mars and Pisces too.
Fucking A.
But
So
I'm
I brought
thinking
it up
because-
on purpose.
Yeah, Pisces, dude. We're in the age of Pisces right now.
You find
so,
yourself
yeah.
in public big positions that you like hate
It's
it,
Pisces.
but you do it anyway.
Mhm.
Your worst battles are with you. Like I said, you're spongy with others' emotions.
Oh, that's right.
What you need to do about that is to ground and protect from like other people's like.
How do I ground and protect?
It's something that it's a practice that you have to do every day. It's something that you can do in the shower. You have to
But my
visualize.
shower's on. He's all, I've been doing that
It's about
already.
meditating and
His whole
visualizing
life.
the
He's all,
water,
I'm gonna
They're
look
barely
at
doing
that
that
shit right
cleansing
now.
people's energies off of, and through your spirit. It's water itself is a very strong theme for you because Pisces is a water sign.
So stop masturbating
Yes.
in the
Joe
shower.
was possessed by a ghost and compelled
Oh,
to
yeah.
shower himself.
Oh,
You
that's
told me- No,
right.
I just felt no. That's crazy. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
that's
what
right.
you're saying
Really?
right now, I'm like, yeah, you need. to
He was
Joe.
possessed
What?
by a ghost, and he took a shower. I said, well.
And he
we're
couldn't stop
clean.
himself.
And he couldn't stop
Yeah.
showering.
He said he sleptwalked. He's
Well,
saying
it's
he was
something
possessed by a ghost.
No,
That's
it's
interesting.
Tell a
important.
story, Joe. Tell a story.
So we moved into my house about 2 years ago, and immediately it was kind of like there's like that awkward feeling,
Yeah.
like there's always something there. And me, I'm skeptic even when I want to believe, because I want to see a ghost. I want to believe that there's I'm living in a haunted house, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, whatever. One day a friend of mine tells me, yeah, there's 4 spirits in this house. Oh yeah? Explain. She goes, 3 of them are cool, no problem at all. The 4th one, it isn't bad, but if there's negativity in the house, it's gonna let you know. I was like, okay.
Mhm.
Now, this is like the side story to kind of bring into this. One day I'm on the phone with my dad. My dad's fucked up drunk, and he's just being an idiot on the phone. And he says one thing that pisses me off. None of you love me. Meanwhile, I'm the only one that talks to him right now. And I fucking just cuss him out, this and that.
Really?
Yeah. Because, like, literally, none of my mom, my brothers, none of them would talk to him. Just me. And I cuss him out. He hangs up. I hang up on him, too. And all of a sudden, like 2 seconds later, I hear, ah!
Holy shit.
There's nobody in the house. It's just me. Now, I say that to bring this up. I have my own bathroom in my room. And it's on the opposite side of the room from me, to where
Okay.
I'll be, like, chilling at my computer. I always feel like somebody's watching me in there. Even when I go to the main bathroom where I shower, I feel like there's someone watching me.
You're not wrong.
No.
Really good.
And then one day I get home really late from work. I go to bed like around 4. I wake up immediately, I don't think anything. I just kind of get up. I'm not in control of my body. I open my door. I go into the bathroom. I take a shower. And I legit, I don't have any thought in my head. I just kind of like see, what my eyes see. I just see my hands going over my body and this and that. And, I'm in there for almost an hour.
Wow.
And I wake up kind of, what the fuck am I doing in the shower? And I get out and I'm freezing because it turned out it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, crazy cold. And I go back to bed. Next day my brother's like, what the fuck were you doing in the shower? You were in there for like an hour.
Holy cow.
And I was like,
Don't ask stupid questions.
yeah.
And
Ever since I've been in that house, I've always felt like I need to take a shower. I was never this shower cavalier guy, but now it's like you need a fucking shower.
Yeah, the reason why we're laughing is because we're gonna hear the story, but I'm gonna be the dick and say it. Okay, the reason why we're like, oh fuck yeah, ghost. Only a ghost could possess you to do that shit, dude. Because we always give him shit about Joe, you need to take a shower, Joe. so that's when he told us.
I know, right?
There's a whole thing about this dude today. I'm being the dick, yeah, but all of us.
Tell me about your feeling when you're being watched. Is it just the creepiness of being watched, or is it hot, cold? Is there temperatures? Is there a color? Is there a fright?
There's light.
Is it so? It's what color is the light?
Well, okay, not light, but shadow.
Mm.
My room is 80% windows. It's actually not a bedroom. It's actually a patio room that's turned into a bedroom. And
I was converted,
yeah. Now you know that big church that's off of Yucaipa Boulevard
Which?
by 3rd?
Okay, yes.
Okay, my house is just behind that. My
Okay.
computer and what I'm looking at, what I'm looking, my view is to that parking lot.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, I'm just chilling on my computer, and I see this shadow go left to right across my wall. Now, okay, let's break it down. Could it have been a car in the parking lot? Well, if that was true, I'd have seen light, not shadow.
Right.
Could it have been somebody walking across my room? No, because I was in my room alone. My doors. If you open my door, I'd freaking hear it. Something had to have walked across my bedroom light that's behind me. Parking lot and windows here. Light is to the bedroom light next to my door is behind me. So what the hell walked across it? And around that same time, where I'll be just watching YouTube and I'll look over at my bathroom, and for some reason my bathroom door's open. I always close it. Now I'm not scared. I never feel uncomfortable.
Big activity in that.
No, and I've heard a lot about that area of Cannabis, especially those streets around there that do have a lot of
We did whodiedyinyourhouse.com and we found out
Clever
the
name.
landlord's the landlord's brother had something to do with his death had something to do with that house.
Is that all you looked up? Did you need?
Well, there was no real details, and I went to I said, hey, what's the last name of our landlord, and what is the last name?
So this might freak you out, but you're the only one that we looked at whose chart has 12th house and 8th house energy.
Which explain.
Which is when it comes to the most psychically in tune. Stop losing your shit, bro. The water houses are the most psychically in tune. There's the 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house.
You're as psychic as they really can get.
When it comes to the 8th house, it comes to the death energy and the afterlife. You have very strong energy when it comes to that, and the underworld, which is the 12th house.
Guys, I'm Hellboy.
So it's something that you already are sensitive to, on top of the fact that you even gravitated to talking to us in the first place. Yeah. You're already on a journey that you are trying to figure out that you never could have stepped away from because you're already sensitive.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying I'm gonna fight ghosts in the future? Got it.
Bring us all.
You're like Constantine.
I'm like Constantine. I'm Constantine. I have a dirty mind. I'm rude. Fuck yeah.
No, yeah. My son is in the 8th house, which that's the main reason why I'm able to pick up on a lot of things I can pick up, because my main ruling planet is in the 8th house, which rules death and rebirth, yes, and just
Pluto.
very strong spiritual house. It's the
Very
eighth
deep.
house,
It's the
very
deep. One of the. Well, it's hard to say. It's got to be the darkest, if not the deepest.
Mhm.
The 8th house. The 12th house would be definitely the deepest. There's no bottom to Pisces energy. And when it comes to 8th house energy, that is Scorpio energy, and 4th house energy is Cancer.
Okay, are we done with my?
Uh,
I don't. I just I don't want to take up
so.
more time.
We want to know more. Too,
Okay,
that
here
way
we go.
can
When
see
it
the
comes to
card.
relationships, you don't like
I don't know if
confrontation,
Uday has like someone's body.
and it makes you upset
encased
to
in
have to
cement.
verbalize like your needs. It makes you feel guilty. Asking them
Is
for
that accurate, Joe?
You were a Capricorn in your past life.
Before I threw you through a plate glass.
Was he?
window.
What kind of animal was he in his past life?
an animal.
Scallywag.
Was he an animal? No.
The boat scallywag.
What did he do? Was he
An
like-
animal.
We did Day of
What
the
kind of
Dead.
animal would you
We
want?
did Day of the
Wasn't an
Dead.
animal.
Why not?
No, he
One
was
night
he was a
spirit.
Capricorn human.
He was a very
In his
cold
past life.
ass
He's a one-eyed
motherfucker in his
parrot.
past life. He didn't have emotions. That's why he's swimming in them now.
shit.
That's
bro.
why he was insensitive and cold and calculated
Like a
and
cent-
used people.
Praying
Centaur.
mantis.
That's why he's the exact opposite now.
And one of the reasons why you are so like you can hone in so much on emotions. This lifetime, your North Node is in Cancer, which refers back
And your lymph nodes are.
to how you develop in your current life. So this life for you is all about honing in on your emotions.
I can
I'll
see.
take it.
I can see that.
Yeah, because Joe's matches up.
Something you gotta
I'm
give
what?
up the porn, Joe.
It's good. It sounds
All right. So
Give
who's
up the
next?
porn. Focus on
Yes,
a good
who's
long-term
next?
Like, were
Okay,
you surprised?
is Richard next?
No, but
Did
was
you get
Joe-
ratings on Richard? Or
We do have some stuff on him. He's
Richard, listen up.
besides Uday, you're the next in line for the most intuitive out of the group.
So you are a Sagittarius Sun, a Scorpio Moon, a Venus in Aquarius, a Mars in Aquarius, and your rising is in Aries.
So you're an Aries. So you are a Sagittarius. You outwardly look like an Aries, apparently. Like you have Aries energy. If somebody
When
just,
people look at you, your energy is like an Aries, but you are a different, in fact, entire different type of fire sign. You're mutable, whereas Cardinal is Aries. So it's more of a you are an opposite personality in and of yourself. You oppose yourself. Sag and Gemini on the chart are exact opposites on a circle. So you are constantly at conflict with what's going on with your ego, your emotions, and how you present yourself. Just the way you present yourself is a lot more charming.
Is that why he wears that jacket like Belvedere?
Sweater, bro.
Oh yeah.
But
It's a
it's-
cardigan.
As far as
Pull
emotional
over.
sensing though, you could be even more sensitive than Uday, as far and more artistic,
like empathic abilities as well.
because you're able to differentiate what you soak up from other people, from your own emotions.
These guys all think I'm crazy because of things I talk about.
You're able to feel without it affecting you.
What kind of crazy?
Unlike Uday.
It's not like haunted house crazy.
So, no,
what
it's
kind of crazy
crazy.
are you? So
It's
let's
crazy.
hear
Get
it.
sassy here is
Part of your issue is you need to learn how to communicate. So
Oh, I-
vomit.
No,
Okay.
he
Come on.
communicates.
Oh,
he-
You
Yeah,
have
yeah,
issues probably expressing emotion.
No.
No.
Really?
It's
The problem is
11.
kind of, but I think my problem is accepting the way other people accept, like,
That makes sense.
you know what I mean? Like, I
He's a
feel like
conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
have
well, everyone thinks everything I say is crazy, or
Did you-
I feel like they think that, and I can't blame them for the shit that, you know what I mean?
where did that come from?
Years of shit that I've learned, and I
Well,
try to tell
okay.
people, and they're like, where do you come up with this? I'm like, I read, and they're like, you're crazy, man.
Something else that
That's
was
fucking
strong in
nuts.
your chart was your issues with your parents.
Yeah,
Ah!
especially
My
mom.
mom was a loving woman.
She loved you, but she
That
loved
was
you
so
too
cops
much.
because my dad was a dick.
She kind of squashed
What?
you a little bit. Your
No,
dad
no.
was a little bit
Overbearing.
like the opposite.
Oh, my mom is very overbearing. My mom's like Trump and Rosie O'Donnell together.
Yeah.
Trumpy O'Donnell.
It's there,
Physically,
and that
too.
does like affect your relationships.
With your
Big time.
placement, you needed growing up a lot of emotional stability from your mother, or else you would grow up feeling
totally
unworthy or unable to easily live with your emotions. If you didn't get your emotions met by your mother, that didn't happen.
Here's the thing, though. In relationships, you get bored. You're a friend fucker, and you might like group sex.
No.
Oh,
If I'm wrong, I like to be wrong.
Mama's wrong again.
But I looked at that chart and I was like, whoa. But do you like conquest and fighting?
Did you give her the right birthday?
I do like conquest and fighting. That is.
We
true.
might have gotten the wrong birth time, though, because
Yeah.
everything was so convoluted. So
Yeah,
what do we
it's like,
have?
obviously, 'cause this
You,
guy is-
you have no problem defending others. Like,
You have a big
Yeah.
heart, that's
Yeah.
for sure. Like,
he's a little dude.
you're
big
very
heart.
like
You gave it up in the
integrative
line.
with how you enjoy people. Like you definitely immerse yourself.
Yeah, that's one of my battles. I wish I could like enjoy more people's company, but like as soon as people find out like I'm a Trump supporter, they're like, he's evil, he's a piece of shit,
They walk
he's
out.
racist, they walk out. Like all these crazy ideas come into their head before they meet you, and it's like I think that's one of my big problems the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I get the finger from a lot of people I used to
4
know.
years.
I've known people for like 20
It's
years.
really interesting
it's
the
like,
way people are turning
throw you
themselves
away.
off to having like a good conversation these days.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Hmm.
It's a shame because people could learn from each other more now than ever.
yeah, that's what I think.
I like the fact that I was wrong on that group sex thing though. That was great. Because I was really embarrassed actually like
Bring it
figure
up.
But what's funny is I just created. No, here's what's funny is I created a FetLife account for Tim because we had this guy Tim that we thought was going to be on the show more,
oh,
and
okay.
he totally dodged out on us. And he came back yesterday. He came back to my house yesterday. We all got high,
Good.
and I told Tim, I go, hey, your FetLife account is up, and we have like, I hope you come on our show because we have like 5 people that are willing to come on our Booze
Right.
and Dudes. So maybe, hopefully,
what was the topic?
Oh,
Was it
this
group
is
sex?
definitely the
that's
right.
what FetLife
This
is.
is
Well, I
definitely
know.
the
Well, I
right
understand
podcast.
what FetLife is.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, we have this friend who's never.
We have
had
Uday
Come
on
on
the
now.
show. This is the.
We
this
have
is
a friend who's never had sex, and so he came back yesterday.
Oh, you didn't.
So he's
his
been on the
brother.
show once before.
He's volunteered. He's volunteered. So
Yeah, he volunteered.
Okay, that's even better.
Well, it's a mixture of us being heartless and.
Well, that's actually
So,
the right mix.
We got him. We got him a date. What?
Oh,
We
yeah,
got him a
that's
date.
right.
Yeah, and
So-
fettuccine.
And we took him to the
That's a fettuccine
Italian
Alfredo.
restaurant. We got him
You,
a date.
I think you and Chuck both have Scorpio moons.
Makes sense.
Yes, both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you are emotionally on the same wave.
yeah. You guys handle emotions the same way. I don't.
Hey man, we're 2 peas in a pod.
The second is the truth. That's-
They tell each other most of the
Yeah.
time.
Look at
Jesse,
Michelle's like, yeah, he's a sucker.
Jesse would get your ego. Like you kind of understand how Jesse understands how you tick in a weird way,
Totally.
and you understand how everybody ticks.
Fucking A.
You can't help it.
Joe's our,
Well, our Professor X.
Buffalo Bill. Joe's the Buffalo Bill of the group.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But
we're sure great big fat person.
apparently, it's
Okay, so-
Professor X.
Who are we moving on to
Or
now?
if we didn't do the lifetime thing for Dick.
Dick.
Like what his lifetime's about. Like
Oh, yeah.
he needs to find stability at home, beauty,
lifetime?
independent financial it's financial stability
Oh.
that you create because in your past this is where we have something in common. My North Node's in Taurus and so is yours, which means your South Node's in Scorpio. And like your South Node being in Scorpio, your past life indicated you're probably an heir. Like as in gaining an inheritance maybe came from money.
So someone is sick and they're gonna die and leave me money.
It could be possible. I was just about to read that. Like it could be this life as well because I'm in the same situation
Mhm.
where I have
I
an
wish them
inheritance.
the best of health.
You know.
Those are actually true,
And then it
We
cuts
can
to
only
a
be
dream
so sweet.
of Richard. Wouldn't it be nice? It's got a picture.
You're probably more likely to settle down in this life than you were in the last life, as far as.
You know, I still have reoccurring dreams. These happened since I was a kid. That I would be getting tossed off of a building for these 2 dudes. And I would, like, this is when I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, before you get influenced by movies and media.
Yeah.
They were very specific. And
Keep
then
talking.
when I got older, I felt like, I was getting like tossed off of a boat and I would be drowning
A building and then a boat.
and then a boat. But by the same two entities, like even though they were different faces, I felt their spirit, their vibe, the look in
It
their eye,
probably
their
happened more
smile.
than once.
And then the older I got, I felt like, you know what, I hate it. Me and my brothers, we always been like at odds. Chuck knows, these guys know. My two older brothers, always been at odds. One's right now in prison for life because he's like a horrible person. And
Well,
Usually
that's a
what
good
happens
reason.
when you go to prison.
But like
See how polite
in
he
all
is?
those dreams, I felt like they were betraying me, or I was dying because like they didn't like me, or whatever. But like
You were
I've
yeah,
always been at
okay.
odds with these two brothers. Like they've always been scumbags.
That makes perfect sense.
No one's ever liked them. I've never like these are my blood, but I can't like
You can't
find
trust
common
them,
ground with
yeah.
them. I don't trust them. I don't like them. You know, I wouldn't take a bullet for them. Anybody here, I'd take a bullet for.
Thanks, man.
But those guys,
You've
I
done,
wouldn't.
okay.
you've done that before, though.
And I feel like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a crazy thing.
We choose who we. That's one of the things that I believe in as far as this reincarnation past life thing. I believe that we choose our charts before we come. We choose our parents. We choose certain certain aspects that we want to achieve from things we did before to this time.
So Richard chose his parents before he got here.
Yeah, because he wanted the hardships that they. The same with mine.
I
My
want a challenge.
we can talk about my
You
family.
don't
if
grow
want.
without challenge.
Yeah, because you wanted to learn what you came through to learn.
Oh.
So yeah, sometimes you choose the shit
Yeah.
to be in the shit.
Each lifetime's all about something different.
Oh,
It
okay.
makes sense
Yeah.
because you know my mom and Chuck's mom, they have a lot in common too.
Yeah, and they're too, but they're kind of like complete opposites
Yes.
too. But so also, I believe Richard's a real spiritual
Don't
person.
fuck me tonight.
Tell them about the time that you got choked out by death.
Oh, ooh.
Oh man.
I don't think we brought this up on the podcast
Oh,
yet.
very
No, we
neat.
didn't. It was at my grandmother's house. My grandmother's house has always had this very strong. My grandma has always, you know what I mean, had that. She's one of those women who doesn't. She's very codependent, very not very. She didn't gain independence or self-esteem until much later in her life.
Right.
So she relied on men for a good portion of her life. So I feel when my grandfather died, I think. I never met the guy, but he was on my dad's side.
Okay.
I think he carried some kind of a black cloud with him, and it went to my grandmother's house. I followed her. Long story short, when I was 12, I remember I was watching cable TV. All of a sudden, the channels start flipping up and down, and the whole room got cold, and the lamps next to me, matching lamps on both sides, start flickering. And they're not like the kind you can touch and do that.
Right.
They're manual. So they start going click, 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 click. So now I'm hearing it. That's a physical representation.
Yeah,
Whatever's
yeah,
going
yeah.
on is making itself physically known to me. The TV's coming on, the radio, the record player, they're all going on. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. It's the electricity is going crazy. It's so visible. My grandma comes in. She's like, "What's going on?" I'm looking at her scared, like,
You haven't seen this before.
never. 12 years later, again. But I'm
Really?
sleeping. I'm sleeping. I'm working at Home Depot. I'm tired. I feel super
Were you
depressed.
sleepy when you saw it the first time?
No, I was awake watching Showtime.
Okay, it's very good to know.
Showtime.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Well, I worked like 19 hours at Home Depot. And I'm like tired. I felt like shit because I wasn't being able to see my wife. Like I was just really a lot of shit going on. I'm trying to go to sleep. All of a sudden, room gets cold. I'm thinking all these depressed thoughts. I started thinking things. I didn't say them out loud. I didn't say none of these thoughts out loud. What I said in my mind was, like fuck God. If there is a God, this life's fucked up. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong.
And then I started thinking, if there's a Satan, you're also a pussy.
You're not wrong.
There's nothing you can do. Like, basically, I think I've been through everything. You know what I mean? I'm like being cocky, young guy.
Well, there's always something else.
So I'm like, yeah. In my head, I'm like, if there's Satan, show yourself right now. And then as soon as I
Right
yes,
on.
I thought, you know what? And then I go, that's right. I didn't think so. You're a pussy. But I was like, I really felt it like in my heart. Like I'm like, you're a coward. And at that moment, the whole room got ice cold. So much so that none of the animals in my grandma's room that usually sleeps like in her thing,
Right.
they all leave. The ice, like straight out of Harry Potter, start getting cold in the glass.
Holy shit.
And then I can see my breath, and then my dad starts walking back and forth as if I'm not there. I'm like trying to reach out to him. I'm losing oxygen. This black portal opens up from the closet
I was
that's
just
in front
gonna
of
say
me.
that was a whole other dimension you went to.
It starts coming out, and it's this long, slender. It looks like an athletic figure,
Slender Man.
and he's just no. He has more the build of like just like a UFC fighter. Just
Okay.
And he's like,
Pitch
where's the
fine.
red?
Yeah.
Like a lean.
Very
haven't read
lean,
it.
very lean. Like there's no fat to them. It's just
Right.
the form of what a human should be.
Like a dark Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Just super black
Yes.
entity. It starts walking up to me casually, and I feel its intent. I feel that it's like, you came, you invoked me, you called me out. And I'm like, oh shit. At the same time, I'm paralyzed. I can't do anything. I'm losing my breath. It's super freezing in there. It comes over, it sits on the bed next to me, and it has no eyes, but yet I'm making eye contact with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And as it sits on the bed,
What color were its eyes?
it didn't have any. It was black, but yet, you know what I mean?
Wow.
You were
There's
looking at that area
Yes, you
as
could-
if
I'm looking
it
at the area. I'm making
Because
eye
you can
contact with
feel-
nothing.
You can feel the windows.
What was
Yeah.
that? Candy?
Yeah.
What is that?
And it starts choking me out. It starts as it's going in. At the
Well,
same
it's
time,
an interdimensional being.
at the same time, I convinced myself I was an atheist. I was like, "There's no God, there's no devil, there's nothing in the world, nothing." And at that moment, when I was at my
Bro,
most desperate,
You want me to trip you out right now?
I said, "Oh God," in my head.
Do it. Just do it.
And then the entity got this face
Ooh.
that was like, "Oh, my bad," and it completely took, and I got my air back, everything, and it walked away.
I'm getting a strong feeling
So-
to tell you right now that was another version of yourself from another dimension.
Just got chills, bro.
Not from the big open door
Like-
next to us.
Omega Rich.
That was the impression I just got right now. It was not your favorite side, but it was something that vibrates on a level that is part of you. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah. At the
You
same-
saw
It's not like it didn't happen to someone else, because as soon as I was able to gain oxygen, my dad was walking by. I remember I wasn't asleep because I remember everything he did. He was heating up chili. The whole time I was losing my breath, I could hear the details. I hear everything he's doing. I could hear him talking and everything. So when I regained oxygen, I reached out and I said, "Dad," and he came into the room. He's like, "What's the matter?" And it's very cold in there. He immediately, you know what I mean? The whole atmosphere, everything.
Yeah.
He was like, "Holy shit, it's cold." And he was like, "Are you alright?" He could see that I was visibly lost oxygen. So it's not like I was going crazy, and you know what I mean?
Damn.
We're not going crazy.
That
No.
is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go. We're gonna take a commercial break, and then we will go with Jesse and myself. More booze and dudes when we come back.
Yeah.
I say that because
That's it, dude.
they
That was
say
a
that when
party
you look
story.
into the void looks back into you.
Mhm.
And it's the same vibration.
Yeah, 'cause you just talked about that in real life.
It's trippy.
Feels good on drinks. What any more drinks?
I'm still
Good?
nursing this one.
Good.
Gabe.
That's good stuff. I'm enjoying this a
Oh,
lot.
my other Rob Dyke's gonna do the other story. Had some other crazy shit happen to me in front of my house.
Ooh, shit.
Dope.
Recently?
The thing I try to research, and the only thing that comes up is the Oni Baba. It's the only thing that comes up in Japanese lore. You know? I've been seeing creepy shit my whole life. Me and my older brother seeing
I
creepy shit
think
our
you
whole
were the
lives.
only other one that had
We had
8th house, if I let me look. Which is definitely important. Hmm.
Yeah, I lived in a haunted house. You seen the ghost? I seen ghosts.
That was
I
insane.
love
Your house, dude.
It's crazy.
One of
In
those
my
houses
house.
you
Yeah.
tell
That was
people
a fucking. It had to have a portal. in that
Your
motherfucker.
your Mercury and Uranus are both in 8th house. You were the only other one that had 8th house energy. You three. I only have 12th house energy. You guys have an ability to be presented with it in such a real, like, frightening and deep way that it's in a whole nother level. Like, mine often come in dreams through inspiration, through, like, automatic writing sometimes. Like, oddball, really hard to pin down ways because it can
Lock the
happen in
door.
every way. You guys are so, like, very specific with your Pluto shit. I love it.
No,
It makes good talk.
with our 8th house, we understand death on a whole different level.
Yeah, and that was the thing. That I experienced death from a very young age.
Yeah.
Very, very young age. The old lady I used to kick it with, she used to be a warden, I guess, at some woman's prison in L.A. I used to kick it and talk with her when I was a little kid. And I was like always ahead of the little kids. Well,
That's
I
so
used to always
Apex.
talk to adults when I
she
was little
slipped
too.
and fell and she hit her head and died in front of me. So
Oh my
it's like,
God.
yeah,
You've always had a connection with death.
it's pretty fucked up.
Well, in a way, because that's an event that your soul would have chosen, so you would be.
Okay with
You two had an agreement
Mm.
to be with each other at that moment before you got here.
Readable family.
You see,
Some, what you call it, stuff.
it's like
Pre-existing
those
stuff,
things
like
are
you guys
like
ready
are
before-
like just like it was just that meant to like moment for teaching.
Mhm.
It's all a lesson, little things. Ugh, I love this shit.
The last step, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we talk about a lot here. Sex and
Death.
death.
Rock
Oh,
and
good.
roll.
We're right in the right.
Who was on that
Rock and
last
roll.
We're on the right podcast.
I didn't hear my.
We're not there yet.
What was
Rock and roll. I don't think we ever talked about rock and roll. That's always how it you go.
You
Either
never
goes
have rock
Joe
and roll
sex
on
life.
Yeah, sex
Goes.
goes Joe.
When it we
Ghost
didn't.
is you.
When it comes to sex, there wasn't like
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
I don't like saying stuff all the time.
Well,
I can tell you what I know because I was married to Pisces energy in places that you have it
Okay.
for 12 years.
Okay.
Y'all are like super kinky.
one?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Did you not hear him when we said
No,
that?
it's
He's
not. We already kind of covered it. It was like, yeah, okay.
No,
Chose
he's
like-
real
off the
specific on
fucking tiki
episodes
chart.
of Season of Love. It's like, I know episode, season this, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, title. We're like, alright,
No.
Joe is off the geeky chart.
Joe's the kinky
There's like
fucking
there's a chart for geek. and
Omega.
They're all
He's
so
a
bad.
badass. Yeah, but then he's 100 when it comes
If
to
you listen
kink,
to
too.
this podcast, you will know that Joe is the fucking most kinky,
Yeah, Joe's on it.
highly sexual. That's
We
all our
haven't.
For
stories.
being the oldest
We don't have any
living
good
one,
stories.
He's
Don't
the
want good
hippest, he's the
stories.
hippest fucking guy out of
We
all
wanted
of us.
to
None
come
of us
in
know
here like
hashtag
just
none
looking at the
bullshit.
charts and doing readings. Actually, like we like spied you out on the internet, but I didn't want to do like too much spying because it, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want to like spoil the
Oh,
truth that
gotcha.
could happen.
Did you want a reading, Michelle?
I'm just
So no.
Who the hell are you supervising?
No.
I don't want to be a part of your podcast.
Oh, I know. We're
Why
off the
not?
podcast.
Golden. You're good, Joe. We'll just call you M.
So you can just read me. I just don't want to be
Oh, we'll call you
here.
C.
I know. I'm saying off the air.
Yeah, that's
MC.
fine. They can do whatever they want.
Oh, there it is. There's a spot. Magic.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Basically, if
Dude,
you have a
who's putting in the
question
face of WD-40?
that
He
you
goes,
want,
he was the
when we get to the
aerosol
cards,
What do you do?
you could basically, you need to think of an intent
Man,
of a,
that's-
like or a
Dude, that
question you want
it
something
really
answered
burnt
to.
so bad.
There's certain things you don't want to ask, like
I don't even know what to ask, to be honest.
right, like no, there's certain things you don't want to ask, like about like certain like dates and stuff like that, like super specifics.
Yeah,
we can't
too
give you
specific.
answers
No, I'd
to.
rather not know, to be honest. If somebody said you're dying tomorrow, or your mom's dying
That's
tomorrow,
okay.
I'd rather nobody even tell me
If
that.
I would have did, I would have actually said the question, and then I would have told them I paid them $20. So yeah, we could die like 2 weeks.
Fuck, then I die
See,
in
that's
2
the
weeks.
difference between them.
And they get a reaction. Well,
Chuck be like,
2 weeks.
Chuck's like, that's not
Son,
tomorrow.
about that.
That's 2 weeks.
You
Get
got
your
2
life
weeks.
together.
It's not like tomorrow. We got like, we can do some things.
Chuck's
in 2
on
weeks.
death plan. Look it up on Pinterest. You'd be the best right now.
Pinterest.
Yeah,
Pinterest, right? Yeah.
dude. I mean, if you're gonna die in 2 weeks, I'm gonna throw you a birthday every day.
Oh.
Every day I'm getting like
Cake and ice
40
cream.
fucking people.
Buddy's gonna come over.
Hey,
Take
cool
that,
shit.
take that time off.
There's like, yeah. It was
Man.
wonderful. That's what I even said too. I was like, you too? Sweet.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what question to ask.
Sex photos. I was like, what's your fetish like this one? Like, okay, cool.
Okay,
That even happened.
Because
That's
Or it's a
Pinterest
card
is
show.
about art.
You go into your collection.
You have to
and
ask
do
questions.
something different. You know how people
Well, I don't
would
think
I thought they talked to me, and I just kind of sit there and observe. I
Well,
just
technically,
yeah.
Cards.
you don't have to voice your question. It could be something you're just. Not everybody wants to say what they're thinking about. So
Well, I just like how she's telling them stuff. Like,
these are about your natal chart.
Mostly it was always a private
oh.
photo.
You can look like, if you want to look at your natal
Oh,
chart,
that's cool.
just go online and type in natal
Yeah.
chart, and you need to
I
know your
just-
date of
One
birth,
thing I'd be on there like, oh, look at
your
your palette.
the specific
I like your
time.
palette.
Like, so if you have your birth certificate, that's the best thing.
But
You
I
can get your
did have
time,
real
and
ones that
then
were
you
like
need the location,
black and white.
so that it can
I
tell
had
you
a bunch of black and
exactly where
whites.
all the
Then I
planets
had
are
cars.
placed. And
Then I had, like, for photos.
depending
Then
on
I
where
had,
each
event
planet
things
is
for, like,
located,
taking
it
photos, live
influences
photos,
your
all
overall
things.
energies.
And I would write, like, little things.
Coco?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. It was, like,
comes up like when it comes to
Coco.
location and time, it's about the
Coco.
angles and geometry from planet to planet, how it interacts with the Earth.
Coco, get over here. Come on. What are you doing?
I like being wrong. Thing. That means like I can grow.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Okay, everyone good? Everyone good? Oh, what?
There's a buzz.
I would totally do that.
It's sick.
There we go.
Alright.
You got a song on Pinterest, man.
What song we come back to?
Barry White this time.
Yeah,
Bray Wyatt or Barry White?
Barry White.
I heard what
Gary.
you said.
I heard Gary.
Wait,
What
So
was the
what's-
last? We were talking about
what's chucking
spooky
it?
shit when we were coming back, so I don't know.
We're back. Booze and Dudes, we are back to this great episode. These paranormal episodes. That's what we get. That's what we get invited to these things. We do like this. We're invited to this Halloween convention that we did over the summer. We were just invited to Warner Brothers little thing. But man, we've been doing a lot of paranormal podcasts.
With energies like this, how can you not?
Hey, that's
Especially
it.
with Halloween just being
The
just
veil is
passed.
thin.
Yes, the veil was very
Is that a real
thin.
thing?
Yeah, for real, it is. Like the dreams we started having and sharing, like, and the cards we were pulling daily were insane. And they still are actually. They're still actually ramping up even more.
Okay.
It's nuts.
Okay, so
That's
whose
real
chart's
deal.
next?
That's real deal. Who's next?
Hey, remember how
Jesse or Chuck?
This is Jesse.
Okay.
Okay. So Jesse,
Hmm.
now that we actually have all your birth time information, not that we have your sun is in Gemini, your moon's in Sagittarius.
I get it. Just,
Your
You were thinking of badge.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Like badge.
Sorry, I forgot who I was talking
That's
to.
fantastic.
Yeah, Joe and Chuck can't spell.
So your Mercury, your
Can't
Venus
read.
is in Gemini, your Mars is in Scorpio, and your rising is Libra.
I'm a Libra rising as well.
That sounds like a cool
So-
tag team name. Libra Rising.
That does.
This
sound
is just
like
what we're picking up from your chart. You're a restless communicator, probably gets told to shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah.
that. Mhm.
The look on your face.
I'm the youngest. That's my whole life.
You're an emotional philosopher of the group, giving lots of advice.
Oh, nailed it.
Yeah.
SGR
If
podcast.
there's
Listen to
stagnant
that
energy,
podcast.
you're gonna fuck that shit up instantly. Your relationship energies, your only sexual preferences are smart, quirky, and lots of variety.
Yeah.
If only an extreme. Try not to stick your dick in crazy is what I
Oh,
wrote.
I got
That was something that, it was I had to say that. Like, I was like, yo,
I
like,
learned from it.
don't do it.
No, I learned from it. There's time limits.
Please don't.
You do it for time limits. 3
I love
months.
it.
The
Don't-
first 3 months is amazing. After that, they get serious. They're like,
Don't
what are we?
stick
And
your
like,
dick
I
in
don't even
crazy.
know your
That should
last
be on a
name.
t-shirt.
Wow.
Yeah, that you failed and you
Right.
should wear to remind yourself.
Oh,
All right.
That was a great comeback.
Your life
That's true.
Stop fucking strangers in the ass.
your
Never
north
done that.
your north node. Let me get to that. Oh my goodness.
Remember, that's all you guys.
Your north node's in Gemini, and your south node. I think it was in Libra. Yeah, it was in Libra, like your sun.
Damn, that's a car
I
crash.
had the wrong chart pulled up. So I wrote down that your lifetime is a fulfillment cycle for you. Like you've already.
You're on your last line.
I wanted to cushion it a little gently,
Yes!
but yeah,
Yes!
You better get your shit together
No,
in this
you
life.
really
man.
are.
You have to. What you have to
I
do though,
hurt the world so much.
to ascend to not doing this anymore, is you need to teach what you know.
Told you,
You
Joe.
need to turn around
What?
and share your knowledge.
There's nothing after this. I'm done, dude.
Okay.
You are done.
Good.
You're done. You're fucking done.
Well,
You're
he is
probably
sharing
You're
pretty
out.
damn
But-
smart.
To make sure that you're done, you have to turn around and be a teacher.
Finally got a
You
kid
need to
going on.
write shit
That'd be
down.
awesome.
You have to be dedicated about it.
Yeah.
Don't just blow smoke. Actually teach
No, like
teach
I said,
people
finally got a
behind
kid
you.
going on. So yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
You have a child coming.
Yep.
Is this child going to be psychic?
You know what?
Yeah,
There's no
definitely.
reason why. But your
That's
child
what my
is
wife
going
reminds
to benefit from you mostly because, especially this being your last life, you have a lot of knowledge that you may not be aware of that will come to you out of nowhere. And these are things that you have acquired over your lifetime that you're here to teach people all around you.
Oh yeah, I love learning.
And that's exactly why.
Like I'm constantly.
You have a way of assimilating knowledge for people.
Oh, like easily explaining it.
Like
Yeah,
you are meant to be the raconteur.
Natural teacher type.
Yeah, without trying. Like it's just I just did bullshitting with people.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's what you were
That's
put
the
on this
gift.
planet to do this lifetime.
You it's the same sign. It's where you came.
You notice that, like, it's the sarcastic interference where I go, well.
Yeah, I've seen triggered.
No, he is. You guys nailed that. He's trying to. He even got a podcast now that kind of talks about this time where he went from a bad breakup to now, and he wrote a journal every single day.
Yeah, but I never
And you
read
already
them
know
until
about chakras,
until
so
recently.
you've already started on a journey that you can't stop.
I have to finish stuff. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, he's a writer too.
You have enough Gemini to worry about finishing projects.
Yeah, because you got so many going on.
And I do that though. Tell just a little bit about me.
Go for it.
I'm an Aries Sun, Gemini Moon, Gemini Rising. My Mars is in Taurus. My Venus is in Aries, and it's retrograde. So it's like I'm very intense. Like I have a lot of Aries in my chart. I tend to trample people with my ego. I'm kind of short.
I have to
I'm
tell her to slow
particular.
down.
I'm very picky
that's
with
what
my
I was gonna ask.
food.
I was gonna say, do you notice it though? Like, cause I'm conscious.
No,
of mine to where I'll just
I'm
shut
very
down and be
aware
like,
of,
"No, stop."
you know, I wasn't so self-aware until after my Saturn return when I was like, 28, 29, 30, I had my divorce. I had my big like whoa moments and changed a lot about myself. I lost about 130 pounds.
So you gotta deal
And
with all that again, yeah.
it was, it's a whole new philosophy, or the dedication, a ritual every day, something that's, just not just self-care, but a development of what I know to be.
You're constantly being reborn.
I wasn't born with certain gifts to not use them. It's part of my destiny, my chart, to turn around and tell people what I know too.
Yeah, but like you said though too, you were also learning stuff daily.
It never stops. No.
People always confuse that, and they always
Oprah's
think
still learning. Dr. Phil's still
Yeah,
learning.
yeah.
Everybody on top
They
still
should.
has lessons
exactly.
to learn.
Everybody on top though, a lot of people
Don't let
say-
them make you think they're perfect. That's bullshit.
Evolving is learning.
And
Learning
the
is
whole
evolving.
philosophy behind the angel that says the fuck is the fact that nobody is that perfect. Now, spirituality tends to be like put in a little pigeonhole where you're not supposed to cuss, you're not supposed to drink, you're not supposed to smoke, you're not supposed to have sex, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. But I don't buy that. I think you have to go into your dark side just as much as you do your light side. Otherwise, how the hell are you supposed to know who the hell you are? Most of us just put ourselves in little boxes, and we're told to do this, do that, and we don't necessarily know what we're signing up for. And we find out later, like, yo, I don't feel like I'm being authentic with myself, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do to be authentic. What do I like?
Yeah, they're not
Like, you get lost, and you're like, hold up, I have to start over. Like, this is all fucked.
If kids in school were taught to like learn themselves,
Nobody knows how to emotionally process at all. Nobody.
So doing this and being spiritual and with the cards and everything, where would you find yourself religiously? Like, is most people that do this like Christians, or is most people that do this like Wiccans?
There's no standard.
Or is there no standard?
There's no standard. I was raised Seventh-day Adventist, and that's like super fundamental. It's about the opposite of Catholic that you could possibly get. What are you laughing for?
No, because he's all, oh.
Well, he was raised Mormon.
Okay, so yeah, they're very similar. 1844 American cult is what I call it. Like,
Yeah.
it's basically the same thing. They had, in fact, they were from Methodist split, and we don't need to get into that. I don't want to anybody that wants to know what that's about, they can talk about it.
What is that one thing they call the Great Mistake or something?
Yeah, they thought that
You don't have to, like, if you don't want to.
Well, yeah, I don't really want to get
But I'm
into
saying,
it,
like,
but
was it- what was
it's
it-
the
was
end
it
of the
called
world
that?
predictions can get really
So
sticky
look
for
into it.
people's
pretty much.
egos.
Just say look into it.
So we don't. Anyway,
We're
so
moving on.
that's where I came from, and where I've come to is through a process of being alone by myself a lot and getting into things that I was genuinely interested in on my own without, because I had a family situation where I felt like an emotion. I was an orphan, more or less. They were there, but they were neglectful. They weren't really like, they had their issues. They really shouldn't have had kids at all. So, and I was the youngest. We all know what that's like, those of us that are.
Yep.
You just sort of get overlooked, and it's cool. Nice
Wow,
beer.
yeah.
Like, I love it.
That's
Perfect
called
timing.
The people listening to this podcast request that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Belch
Joe.
into the microphone.
Oh, good.
Pop, dog,
Pop
and
dogs.
If
what
we
else?
come back, I'll belch
Burping?
for everybody.
Burping.
Burping.
You got one in you?
Oh, and go ahead.
I have to drink beer
Oh,
for
and-
that
and
to
eating
happen.
in the
And I'm drinking
microphone.
whiskey. I don't want to wake up with a hangover.
You know,
Gross.
who did? Who did? They love
Don't.
it.
They
But
love
they
it.
are.
They basically
I'm very
request
proud
more
of
Joe.
them. But where were
I
we
like
even?
popping my dogs.
Oh, I know.
Spirituality.
Yeah, okay, so
and
she where she came from is entirely different from where I came from.
I came from no religious background. Church wasn't a part of my home.
Mhm.
But I was
Jesus was more of a cuss word.
Yeah, but I was one of the little girls being, 2, 3, 4 outside making little potions, mashing up leaves.
I too
and
was obsessed with
flowers
herbs and remedies.
Like,
Oh, okay.
just little weird shit kids
Little
do.
potions.
Yeah, like
You grew up out here?
Sound like
Yeah.
a boo.
I'm from
Maybe properly
Pipe.
boo.
I'm from Corona.
Oh, okay.
So
Hmm.
not too far apart. But anybody can really be spiritual, from Christians, to
Really, honestly, it sounds all tricky and like woo woo. But what it is, it's trying to get to know yourself on a whole nother level where you're absolutely tuned in to everything that you are, every moment, being mindful, how you affect others is a big
Vibrations.
deal. Like the vibrations, instead of like focusing on people, it's more about the vibrations they carry. It's some Deepak Chopra shit.
Yeah, that's some
It's
demons
just real.
screaming
He's
in the
such a
background.
con.
Yeah,
Shady
screaming
shit.
in the distance.
Deep pop choker.
Okay.
I agree
All right.
with
Last
you.
but not least, it's me.
Yeah.
Yes, your
Shit.
natal chart.
Our prenatal chart.
Prenatal.
Prenatal chart. That's what I can think of.
Yeah, native.
Your sun opposes your rising.
What the fuck is that?
That means
The demons are releasing.
that means you're a Cancer sun and you're a Capricorn rising. That's your exact opposites on the chart. And
He's Aries on
let's
South.
see here. Your moon is in Scorpio. Okay, so this is what I wrote down. It's just like
Hell's drinking.
you like to argue with people, especially yourself. You're competitive, but you need people very badly, because your sun's in the 7th house. You could be a workaholic, and you desperately need to be in athletics. It's part of your. We saw it everywhere in
Your
your chart.
competitiveness,
Ugh.
athletics would really benefit you.
Wow, that picked up really
Oh,
well.
that's really strange.
Okay.
Man.
And so we went over your moon. Your Venus is also in Cancer. Your Mars is in Scorpio. So your sun and your moon reflect your Mars and your Venus. It's like your love style is very much in tune with your ego and your emotions. And your North Node indicated.
Hold on a second. We got
Roger.
the purge is going on, so we invaded by some demons screaming kids that are outside this house. All right. We're back. I didn't get that light working.
The purge.
Right?
Horrible.
Just leave it on by pushing the button.
There's a button. You
Oh,
know that?
Yeah.
No, the button's
I
up
don't even
there.
know where it is. I didn't do it.
The button's up there.
Okay.
This is your house.
It's killing me.
Oh,
You think I'm that
pretty
tall?
light, though.
What is he
Someone's
this
tall
life?
better do that.
This lifetime is about learning to communicate with your words, not just hoping people will catch on
I do.
to what you want to.
Communication's really big for
it's
you
like
this
you're,
lifetime.
you're like an expert in nonverbal communications, and bringing it outside of you is your big deal.
People aren't mind readers, at least not all of them.
I mean, if they can do the best they can, but it's very important that you cut people
Not
slack. It's hard on people to have to do that. So like that's where your whole like life purpose is to actually bring words to your emotions. And let's see.
Sounds good.
You've lived lives in the past where you didn't have to answer to anyone.
Yeah, you're a kid,
So
bro. You knew it.
that's why you don't feel like you need the words right now.
Because you feel like you've done it all.
It's like So like you're like
The
Why?
slave owner.
Why don't you
It's
just
okay
get
to
it?
say it.
You should know by now.
It goes back to a memory. It shows me like the colonel.
They're just calling you cracker. You're like, yeah, I know.
Coming up, boy. Joe comes.
When it comes to getting your needs met in the bedroom,
Because you're Irish, you worked with his
Joe's past
I have
life.
Irish.
Yeah. No, it's just Irish worker.
Oh, Irish
Yeah,
worker,
black
yeah,
slaves.
okay.
Come on,
it's
bro.
about
Alright, come on.
expression still. It's about verbalizing instead of just insisting or sort of insinuating what you need instead of being like, this is exactly what I need right now and this is how I need it. It's not something that you need to put on somebody else to figure out.
So in other words,
Does that make
tell
sense?
You.
It's something. Your wife is like, making
No
I'm
comment.
terrible.
her dick's gonna break.
But yeah.
If it makes sense, just nod your head. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Blink twice.
Blink twice.
Guys, listen, I'm no.
It's about for you. It's about
Just
your
I'm not
feelings.
saying-
Hey, I'm no you.
I'm
If you
We're born
can't
again.
figure out getting your needs met with your words, you're just gonna have to work out. Your athleticism is
Physically.
stupid important to you. It's like really
Physically work out
integral to
your
get
needs.
on that.
Yeah, it really
It's
was.
really,
like used to.
Really,
Yeah, I
really
mean,
important.
lately
You're
I've just
the
been kind
shit
of
back in the day.
communicating, probably more than anything. But
Write notes.
yeah,
If it's hard to say it, write text or notes.
I gotcha. All right. Well, let's go into some card reading.
Your mic's
We
working.
have some
You
questions.
can hear that, right, Chuck?
What's that?
That's all.
So we're gonna do
That
some
was really
card
good.
reading.
Yes,
Maybe.
we are.
That's
Okay.
you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So, in case you aren't familiar with what the whole world of tarot is, it is intuitive reading. Not always the traditional explanation of the card is always what we're going to say, because we have to go off of what we're feeling at the same
We'll take it
time.
into consideration.
So it's not like literal. If I ask you, like, hey, man, give me the
We'll
give me
explain
the
to you.
modern
We'll
numbers.
try to do the best we can to tell you what the books say or what the traditional is, but there's always something more in there. But we're pulling one card as far as I know per
So,
person.
Now that stone you have on top of it, is that hold
That's my
some-
amethyst. It does help. It helps vibrations be tuned. At least not everybody needs stones. I find that when it comes to traditions, stones are one of the oldest and most intelligent materials on the planet.
How cool are geodes?
This is the base, more or less, a geode. It's
Like
just
that
an
thing?
amethyst.
yeah, you can
No.
Go ahead,
There
touch
has
it.
been, my mom back in the days too was really into stones, and there's ones that, hey, if you need help sleeping, hold this one.
Right.
Or if you need, you're looking to get a job, a job interview, trying to look, you
It's
say,
true.
hold this stone. So I remember that from years ago. So I mean, is it kind of like, does it help? I
Absolutely.
mean, it does.
So, I've been known to stuff gemstones in my pillow and like herbs and stuff for dreaming and dimes in my shoes. So like
That's
nobody
funny.
can like will me ill and like send their bad intentions where I'm going. So there's things that people do to it sounds woo woo and it's funny as hell.
It sounds woo-woo.
But what it is a way of like it's traditional energy collecting, and churches do it. Every tradition that you can imagine, every tradition, even down to the Masons, they all have rituals. It is exactly what runs the world, is bringing as above, so below, and that is what our magic as people on this
I've been telling
planet
people
can
that
do.
shit for like ever now.
Well,
As
see,
above, so below, and no one believes me. This
well,
entire
this is the rule. This is the
Yep.
fundamental law.
It didn't come from nowhere.
exactly.
It's
Listen to you.
it's the way it is. It's how when we're talking as above, so below, this is, oh God, why would that movie name? Doctor Strange, right?
The one where he's got the cape and he's flying, he's Marvel.
He's got.
Okay.
Yeah.
He can do
Doctor Strange, you're correct.
he can do interdimensional
Yeah.
like manipulation.
I was just curious because
That's the truth. That
It is the
shit is
truth.
it's as above, so below. That everything
exactly.
about that is
see,
true.
now I was getting confused
It's
because
called soft disclosure.
there's
They
actually a
disclose the
movie
truth
called
in
As
little
Above,
ways.
So Below.
That was 100% the truth, and it
Feel
was a
better?
great visualization of what it actually how it works.
Jeez.
Well, yeah.
We're just laughing. We noticed
So,
that
but-
the videos were, "Oh, it must be real."
With
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the
Sexy.
one.
yeah, there you
Benedict
go.
Cumberbatch.
He's kind of doing it for me. I don't know about you ladies.
So,
I'm not into gingers anymore.
hey guys,
Anymore.
yeah, it's on camera.
Knuckleheads.
No, I said
So we
once
did
he said
Such
it,
air
it was-
energy with you guys.
we
Stop.
did a poll on our one of Dick Sassy's Facebook page. I think he got
Okay.
150 comments.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
And what was the question? It was go ahead, hold the mic.
Okay. What did I do? I said we're gonna have tarot card readers on our
Ew.
podcast tonight. Any thoughts? And I got 150 comments.
That's amazing.
Whoa.
And yeah, they ranged from all sorts of things, but over 100 comments were the same thing.
What was it?
All devil worship.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
There was
That's
a few
common.
people, there was a few people who understood it more deeply. They were like, no, like they try to break down the art of divination and everything else.
Yes.
And they're like, don't judge everything so quickly. And so I gotta say, like,
Why is that?
they also deleted the comment. They kicked me and like 7 other people out of the group because it was like,
Holy cow.
it's kind of the thing. If you even defend it a little bit, you're like a Satan worshiper.
That's amazing.
So it's pretty fun. It's pretty funny how these people, they're also on the right, the Q group type thing, and they're supposed to be that person that's like, hey, don't judge or call someone crazy.
But they're
because-
immediately judging.
But they immediately kicked me out. So I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, now I'm part of an even deeper pariah. Like,
Wow.
Sorry,
was like-
bro.
so anyways, that happened.
You're one of
So-
us now.
So I don't know if you guys are married or in a relationship now, but when you go about as far as getting into a relationship and you would tell somebody what you do, what's your reaction?
Actually, it's not a problem because social media is such like a big presence, and we do like post cards, and I write little astrology things every day, and I cannot have a regular conversation in life without bringing up astrology. I just can't. So it really sort of just when it comes to who comes into my sphere, they tend to already be on that vibration. Like people like you guys come into my life. Like tonight, like everybody already's had a paranormal experience. All y'all already get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this dude knew about chakras, and you know, like Uday came for her to talk to a dead dude.
Mm.
Like everybody has their senses already. It's just about vibrating
Honing
to
in.
each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to people who think it's weird or spooky or whatever,
My ex thinks I'm
and they
kind of
can't
crazy.
handle it, they don't come talk to me because I ooze it. So it doesn't really like.
So you're
It's not a problem.
so you're saying that you had an ex, correct?
Yeah, an
You were-
ex-husband.
your
Yeah.
ex-husband. So did you feel when you met your vibrations were there, or you think it happened for a reason,
Of course, yes.
or I mean,
He was a Capricorn. I learned a lot. I learned like a lot of great. Like we were married for exactly 12 years, which is like the what you needed to learn in school from elementary school all the way through high school is 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the Saturn aspect, which is the ruling planet of Capricorn, is the planetary teacher. He's very strict, and I learned so much that I didn't have that type of my soul needed that sort of like strictness from my childhood, which was really footloose, fancy free. I was homeschooled, blah blah blah, all the way through elementary through high school. So when it came to by the time I got married and went through that whole curriculum, I learned a lot through him. And my experiences throughout, and when it comes to spirituality,
this whole the mic maybe this way, yeah, it kind of gets a little like the
when it came to
signal.
that, like, he has his own deck. He has his own spiritual practice
So
that deviates from
so
his Lutheran upbringing.
You were in this before the relationship. Were you kind of spiritual as far as you
Good
you know you're more
question.
into this before?
I've
or-
never not been into it because I've always had precognitive dreams where I had to express myself, and I've been doing that since I was at least 5 years old, where I would show up somewhere and I would yank on my mom's shoulder and go like, I've been here before, and
Mhm.
she'd be like, no, we've never
Or it's
been here
deja
before.
vu.
It was more than, it was a heavier duty deja vu, where it was just like, deja vu can be like a small moment.
Sure.
This was actually physical, where I remembered things exactly the way they were, and it was more of a literal, I've been here before, and that happens every state I've ever
Like
moved to.
past goosebumps, and then like
It's
either
just
lingers,
knowing.
lingers for a while. longer
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's like it just you profoundly know.
Yeah,
something.
you remember
It's just
details.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've had that stuff like that. Where it's
Yeah.
like, it's past deja vu because it's like, it lingers so long to where it just bothers the rest of the day, and I just start lingering on that. Like, okay, you guys have fun. I'm just gonna
Right.
kick back.
It trips you out. What the way I interpret that is it's I'm on my path exactly where the timing is correct. The timeline is right where I'm supposed to
You're
be.
hitting a checkpoint or something.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So let me ask you this: is
Safe point.
as far as our
Yeah,
energy,
you're like, one up.
is our energy fate? Like we're gonna be the same, just no matter what fate gave us, or is it like I can have a negative
don't-
energy out of turn of a hat? Like all of a sudden, I mean,
Well,
my energy can.
whatever you define as fate.
Yeah. So what I mean is basically like I can kind of read our energies, and you're reading our horoscopes, whatever the case be. You basically have, say for instance, I have a good energy, and I'm just kind of that kind of energy, and you say, well, you're a real good guy, you're real positive, you want to communicate, and then all of a sudden, at a drop of a hat, I get some mental illness, and I'm nothing but negative, and I have terrible energy, and I'm like a terrible communicator. Can that happen in someone's life, or is someone just, is it just
I mean,
born with?
there's more than just horoscopes here. There's also, we can't ignore biology. Like, let's not forget.
Plus reads are daily. Like, everything changes.
Yeah.
It's about what you allow. I don't believe in fate as to we're subject to something that's. Yes, there's energies bigger than us, but when it comes to fate, there's will, true will, and it's something that you there's
At the least,
there's
a left and a right.
choices.
Yeah, there's always a left
when
and
it
a
comes
right.
when it
Like,
comes
at
to
the
the
least,
laws
yeah.
of manifestation, you are you are not your thoughts. You are the observer looking at your thoughts. And what is the observer? You have to really your soul is so much bigger than you think. So I feel like we steer our quote unquote journey, fate, whatever. It's more we're more in charge than most of us think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as disempowering as possible, and that's really what people consider the occult is that knowledge of responsibility of being a creator in your
Right.
reality, knowing yourself in that level, and finding out what your will really is. And that doesn't mean like murdering and killing and raping children. That's not it. What it is what your soul is calling you to do. Like everybody has a purpose. And we all find that in our anxiety. That's how we know when something's off track and we're not doing our purpose. Is we're fucked up.
Right.
Can't sleep.
Oh yeah, I know someone can't sleep. No, it's no. Let's do some card reading. Okay, let's go ahead and do some card reading for
Alright.
realsies. Let's start with Uday.
Okay, so pretty much.
You want me to hold your mic?
No, you're fine right now. This is optional. If you want to do it, you don't have to do it. But you need to be
We'll do it.
thinking about specifically for yourself something you want an answer to, something you would like a little bit of guidance for, some clarification for, and we will do.
Just that little shallow thing.
Good. That's the point.
How do I get my dick bigger?
That's something I can't really answer. Like
That's
those
not
are questions.
That card's a direct no.
Nah, bro. Nah.
But we will do our
Google a
best.
surgeon.
Yeah, no. I have a
exactly.
question in my head. I'm gonna
To
keep
really
it to myself
bring
though.
quality
Make it real.
to
It's
the
not. It's not. How do I make my dick bigger?
No, yeah. Think about something you want some guidance to, some clarification about, and we will do our best to.
Keep it in your head too, Joe.
Yeah.
We did have an E for
Af-
everyone rating, and now it's a TVMA.
That's because you invited us. I'm sorry.
No. The person that brought you guys.
All right, let's go.
All right.
We didn't even talk
So
about
you know already what you
Yeah.
want. You okay?
Oh, okay. Wait. You have to say it.
No,
don't.
don't
Don't
say it.
bro.
Don't say it
I
yet.
don't want to say it.
No, this is-
You
this
don't
is a
have to.
podcast.
You don't have to.
It's way more better if he says it.
Okay,
I
go
know,
ahead.
but
Yeah, go ahead.
after I
After, Joe.
explain.
It's so cute right now.
This
Take it,
is
take
the
it.
4
Sorry.
wands. Didn't I pull the 4 wands for you last time?
Yeah.
Why does he sound so sad?
Yeah. So, whatever you're asking about,
That's a yes card.
yes, it's a yes. This is like happy family. You
All
know,
right.
What was the question
they're
today?
Why would you ask a question that you
There's-
want to know answer to?
they're celebrating. The children in the back, they're happy. The color yellow indicates, you know, joy, sunshine. So
Nice.
this is a very, very, very
It's a
positive
very fertile
card.
card because there's all the fruit. And the garland is like, it's a wedding.
Yeah,
There's a good
got lot
chance
of
you're
people.
wondering-
There's often, like, people call it a wedding card or a unity card, and it's a fire energy card though. It's very like passionate and excitable.
That's true.
Oh, I'm
And
glad
harmonious.
we have no.
It's a good
We have the answer to no question.
Rah. Ooh, gaga.
Even if it's a bad question, you just. I mean, even it could be anything, just for the entertainment of this podcast. We have to say the question in the mic.
sorry.
Oh, well,
You can do
aren't you gonna
other
put one
stuff
now?
outside.
So she just
No,
explained
we're
it. She just
interpreting
explained
it together.
Oh, okay.
But to someone listening to this, they're like, oh,
No,
Otherwise,
he's
it'd
gonna
be
do
per card.
He's gonna do it. It's just she's gonna read first, and then he's gonna tell the question.
yeah, well, yeah, whatever.
So,
How do you want it?
am I moving on, or what are we?
So you don't want to ask.
Do you
don't
want to
ask.
kind of give
tell
a
you what
gist
the
about
question
what your
was.
question was
Right.
about?
My question was, how do I make more money to support a family?
Okay.
Tricking.
Networking.
Fertility.
You need to network.
Fertility.
That's
Get
what
your
we got.
dick wet now.
That's
No,
what we got.
yes.
That's what the family thought.
She is
You need to
absolutely,
network.
she's absolutely right with the networking and
Social media. You need to work with people.
work with people.
That
Don't sleep with them, Joe. Just work with them.
But I
You hear
feel
that, dude?
Just mind this
with
out.
this card, it is also an outcome. Like there's no reason why you can't achieve the happy family that's right here.
It's
in
right
this
there.
card.
Like there's you actually can. It's right.
Yeah, bro, you're the
It's a
happy
ridiculously
Chuck.
good
Look it
outcome
up.
for you.
Joe, you're already happy. You just need the family, bro.
I
Get it.
do.
Done.
All right.
Okay. All right. Some guy. Go ahead.
Go, 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 go.
Ask a question.
Who's going
About
next?
what?
Okay. Well, I just need to know who's going next.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
we're going wrong.
Jesse.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So you already have in your head what you'd like to know some stuff about.
And make sure it's a question you can say on the podcast.
Yes. What do you need guidance?
Oh, I'm in
on
trouble
right
now.
I mean, it can be anything.
You're always in trouble
I
in
mean,
your own
this
mind.
is entertainment. Some ratings. Make it good.
People in Sweden are not gonna like this.
Yeah, people Sweden.
Sorry, Sweden. We love you.
The two
People
guys,
Sweden.
Hans and Franz.
They love us too.
They
Hey,
love
is
us.
it me or is
Alright.
Lucy losing
What's
the
your
We
question?
have great metal.
I wonder how they say
Do you have something in mind?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So whatever you are wondering about, I pulled
That's a no.
the 4 of Swords. It is. There's a good chance you need to slow down or take a much needed rest.
You need to actually like meditate.
Yes. Don't
That's a
forget.
big meditation. That's like pretty much one of the strongest meditation cards in the deck. It's actually a church that he's laying in. We're like, woohoo.
Should I go ahead
Yes.
and say what it
Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
What it is, just like how focused should I be with my daughter? Because I don't want her to be like I don't know. I still want her to be really.
you need to be devoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's anyway.
Devoted.
Yeah. This is straight.
As
Like,
if-
concentrate on her.
Like as if it was your soul depended on it.
Yeah,
Because
'cause
your
that's
soul
all I'm
does,
anxious
because
about.
otherwise you won't ascend and stop being on the planet when you die. And that's what you want. You want to be done with this shit just as much as us. Anybody, I think.
No, it turns
Probably
out,
even more.
It turns out a lot of these guys like thought it was cold when I was saying that. I'm like, why are you guys saying that? And Uday was like, yeah, why don't you want to be conscious afterwards?
Because
I'm
you've
like,
had more lives than probably any of us.
oh well, to me, my whole explanation with him is he's like, yeah, I would love to be alone and conscious.
His soul is tired.
Hey,
Yeah,
so that's I always felt that Jesse had an old soul. What about you, Rich? Yeah, I think so. Is that what that means? What is that where it comes
But
from?
yeah, he's on his last life.
Yeah.
He's weary. He's a traveler.
Jeez.
Hell yeah, see you, buckaroos.
Yeah, he did tell me
He
that.
pumped the Four of Swords for fuck's sake. Like, that's
The
tiring
Ring
energy.
Sword.
Very
Yeah,
complex.
that's right on.
Chilling.
That's right on.
That's
Rich?
awesome.
Rich?
That means you gotta quit. That means some guys gotta quit using like cool lingo, right? Like if guy lingo, he's gotta start
I don't
using
do
old
it.
person lingo,
I might
old
be
soul
him.
lingo.
Yeah, maybe he has to just slow down a little bit in certain aspects of his life to be able to
But
accommodate.
he can still say, like,
He can be like get it or like right
Oh
on.
no, that's right now.
He's gotta be like you got a point there. You know?
Oh, more,
Just say the
more,
question
conservative.
Oh, do I have a question?
Just say
Are
the
you-
question
are you-
first.
are you
Yeah,
ready?
you don't have to say the question last.
you
It's
have
weird. No,
to.
just think of it. Don't say it yet. Let them.
I do, and this is
Better.
okay. It's
You got
something
it.
I'm working on. So
You got it.
okay. Can't ask, I know it can't be too
Perfect
specific,
timing. You just
but,
thought it out.
I'm wondering if I will be able to acquire
Well,
specific.
this is a yes card before we even start.
Well, yeah, I'm
Let's get it out,
wondering.
get it out, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to do like a mini documentary on what's going on in the whole entire area, the region, especially like
That's
underground facilities containing like people who like traffic kids, churches and stuff like that, people in the government, higher ups. And
Okay.
so I know these old tunnels are linked to all of them. So I've been I've been on Reddit and like a bunch of other websites and getting people to agree.
Yeah, you're good.
So
It's actually going to be highly celebrated.
Yeah,
It's going to be like wildfire.
I pulled the Three of Cups, and definitely with this, networking, working together with.
You're already doing it, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You're already on the right path. This is more of like clarification, if anything.
It's something, because it's 3 women, I want you to focus on, like, there's the very deep emotional thing to this, where it could be brutal for a dude to tap into that level of emotions. You're going to face some things that you want to be prepared to open up to and be soft about. So, like, study the yin-yang thing.
It's very attainable.
But you got it. It's dope. It's actually going to go really well.
Hell yeah. Okay, all right, and I guess that's me next.
Yes.
Yes, also really good.
What should I ask?
It's your spot, dude. Why don't you ask her?
ask him if I'm gonna get peanut brittle for my birthday.
Ask
If
him
the
if
god has
stupid-
feet.
So my question is, should I stay with my current career, or do I have a career in like entertainment, like this and videos, and,
DJs.
well, I'm gonna DJs.
What? There's no other. I mean, I can't imagine you in a, because of your chart, and this. I mean, that's just.
I pulled the Knight of
I
Swords.
can't imagine you not being in a communications career. So if you're thinking about skipping a different career, it better be in communications.
Well, like I'm an inspector now. I do kind of sales inspection now,
You're
but
so funny,
this
dude.
is something different. This is some like media wise, and
I
well,
think
this.
you need to stay in media, bro.
But if anything's gonna come about, it's gonna be something that's very randomly and quickly comes about. The Knight of Swords is a very fast-moving individual, very sharp.
He's the
so
Flash.
if you are going to change careers, it's gonna be something that's gonna come
But
at you
it'll
just
still be in communication,
Like
but
some
maybe in a
bouncer.
vein that you haven't like worked before.
just dropped in front of you, like, and you're gonna have to be like yes or no. But it's something that
gonna
you're
like
not
it.
gonna expect.
So something sudden.
Yes,
Also.
exactly.
Just open
Okay,
yourself
all
up.
right.
That's a yes.
I can
Yeah,
see Chuck
there
being
you
a
have it.
stripper.
Make sure you keep your emotions in balance. Don't let your emotions get the best of you when it comes to if you
Like, don't be hasty making your decision what to do, but you'll know. You'll
it's gonna be like yes, I feel like this
I
is
absolutely want to freaking do that.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay. All right, so we thank Megan and Katie.
Hey, are we gonna do a song? They should sing.
What?
Wait a minute.
There you
You'll
go.
have to pay us $10 more.
Karaoke. No, we're all
No,
horrible.
sing with
Megan.
us. Sing
We'd
with
We're
like
us.
really
to
bad.
thank Megan and
We're really
Katie. Where can we find you, and what would you like to promote?
Well, I have my Instagram that I've been working a lot on building. So that's that fucking angel on Instagram.
That fucking angel?
That fucking angel.
All right.
And then on Facebook, I have the angel that says, because they won't let me have the fuck part.
Some F word.
So, and that there's a link on there to my blog, which I haven't really updated in over a year, but I've had some really gut-wrenching articles that I've written on there about my like process. So it's good to look at, and there's, as with this podcast, there's sexual articles on there too about like everything that there's like my guts are there, like, so
I'm
there's
still there.
there's astrology, there's once in a while there's a card, so I don't know, like I'm still working on building things, but
There's still safe words, right?
there's what kind of questions?
Yeah.
No, it's a free for all.
Before it
Beer,
goes
by the
too
way.
creepy.
We're all liquor drunk.
All right.
Beer, Bud Light drunk. And
Yeah,
it's all right.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's still
Cheap
safe words,
beer
right?
equals shitty person. I'm telling you, ladies.
Wow.
Pay attention,
Wow.
ladies.
I'm never coming over to his place again.
Promise.
Funny doesn't mean shitty, dude.
And Megan,
I'm-
where can we
Hey,
find you?
hey, I joke a lot. I mean, I am like a kinky person, but I'm not like a perv. I'm not like
Wait.
Anymore.
Okay.
You graduated.
Megan's like, okay.
You
Okay.
graduated out of grad school.
No.
If you want us to believe you.
But no, you can find me on Instagram at Megan Dawn,
You don't help at all.
MEGANDAWN 57. That's the only social media I have, or you can shoot me an email at megandawn57@gmail.com.
There you have it.
Why the 57?
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Booze and the Dudes.
Email her and ask her.
Rate, review,
I want to
iTunes,
believe.
Spotify,
Thank
and Podbean.
you.
And thank you, ladies,
Oh, yeah.
for being
It was
on the
great, man.
podcast.
We loved it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This is gonna have to be like a two-parter, man.
We should come back.
Hell nah.
Yeah, because I
one
thought we were
part,
gonna ask
geez,
like
you gotta
one more
have
question of
patience.
like so like who was it that was the most
You
intriguing?
can stop
reading,
recording.
like, writing up
Yeah.
and working on like who, because all of us sound.
I don't know.